Hello, I'm Chance the Riot,
And I'm Sergio.
and this is Brick Wall Cinema.
Ghostbusters, what do you want?
He slimed me.
We're ready to believe you.
Back off, man. I'm a scientist.
That's a big one.
We came, we saw, we kicked its ass. Dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria. Enough, I get the point.
So, Sergio, you know what we're doing this week?
Ghostbusters month?
Yeah, baby. For this for this month, but for starting this week, moving and leading on to the end of all March, we are going to be watching every single Ghostbusters movie in honor of Ghostbusters Frozen Empire coming out on March 26th. So that includes the reboot and everything after that too. We might even put a little surprise episodes out there, but we don't know yet. You don't know yet. We might know, but you don't know. So lucky if you know ahead of us, because we might not know. You might be in the know to know, you know?
What?
You don't know. Anyway, today we are going to be discussing the 1984 classic on its actually 40th anniversary, Ghostbusters. The huge franchise hit that started it all. Actually, it didn't really start. Funny enough, Sergio, do you know that this movie isn't the first Ghostbusters movie that came out, or Ghostbusters property?
No.
Yeah, so back in the 70s, there was a TV series called The Ghostbusters. It was about these two people that hunt ghosts with the talking gorilla. Well, I don't think it was a talking gorilla. It was just a gorilla, and had some two characters from an old TV show called F Troop in it. In order to make the movie, Columbia Pictures had to pay Filmation a significant fee for the licensing of their name. And funny enough, after the movie was a huge success, in 1986, they made an animated TV series called Ghostbusters made by Filmation. Are you familiar with Filmation, Sergio?
No, I'm not.
Right, because you're not 35. So Filmation was an old animation company like Hanna-Barbera that used to focus on TV animation. They did the Fat Albert TV series and He-Man. Those are the most popular ones I could think of on top of my head. You really never heard of them?
No, I have not.
So back to Ghostbusters. You know what? Also, did you know, Sergio, that this was not actually the first name that they went with for the movie?
I can believe that. What kind of names did they actually come up with for the movie?
So in the Netherlands, when this movie came out, they called it the Supernatural Super Spectacle. In Taiwan, they called it Devil Buster. Vietnam, they called it Ghost Hunting Squad. And in France, they called it SOS Ghost. To be honest, I would rather hear... I like Ghostbusters, but I want to hear their version of the songs. Like hearing Ray Parker Jr. doing a song called Devil Buster. You think it'll have the same vibe?
I think so. They mostly try to keep the brand on thing, but I think it might sound different considering like the regional like kind of thing. Like I know that some movies they usually change certain small things about the movie in order to connect to a different region or a different country. Like for Inside Out, they changed the broccoli on the pizza to I believe like green peppers or something like that for like the people for like I believe it was either China for Japan because kids over there didn't like to eat green peppers. And it's kind of like their version of broccoli for kids over there.
Oh, I didn't know that. I knew that in Zootopia they changed the moose, like the news reporter moose, to a panda. I remember that. Anyway, back in another universe, in another country.
Or not, I believe they did that for China.
Right, China. I was wrong with that.
All
So
right. Anyway, back to the Ghostbusters movie.
yes. So Ghostbusters 1984, directed by Ivor Reitman and written by Dan Aykroyd and Harold Ramis, who starring Dan Aykroyd and Harold Ramis. Dan Aykroyd plays Ray Stantz, Harold Ramis plays Egon Spengler, Bill Murray plays Peter Venkman, and Ernie Hudson plays Winston Zeddemore. And I didn't even have to use my notes for that. I just love this movie so much. So let's get some facts out the way. Let's get some trivia out the way for casting. We all know the elephant in the room when it comes to the Ghostbusters casting for Ernie Hudson. So, Ernie Hudson said it was not hard enough to feel hurt by how the studio sidelined Winston and kept him off the promotional material. It actually took him a few years to realize that none of this mattered to the fans and that Winston was beloved, which allowed him to shed his resentment and embrace the franchise and fandom. I can see why it would have been a struggle for him, because in that first movie, he doesn't come into like 40 minutes into the movie, well after they establish that they are Ghostbusters, and actually right after the first montage of them busting ghosts. But then again, if you understand who they wanted first for the role, it will make more sense why they were planning on having him be in more of the movie. So initially, the character of Winston was meant to have joined the team much earlier and would have been slimed at the hotel. But when Eddie Murphy declined the role, the script was rewritten to have Winston appear about halfway through the film.
Eddie Murphy was the first choice?
Yeah.
Hmm.
But back then, Eddie Murphy, because if you picture it, Eddie Murphy, at that time, it was 1984. I think around the same time they had 48 Hours come out and Trading Places, which were two big movies for Eddie Murphy's career. 48 Hours, I think, was his first big movie debut. He was like, it was a buddy cop movie where he was a criminal helping a cop find a killer. Basically, he had two movies come out before then prior that made him more of a bigger name and draw to where I believe he wanted to be more of a solo act at after that time, because he was always paired up with someone. In a big piece like this, he might not have wanted to. He might try stealing the show every time he can, every scene he can, which might not work well with the team dynamic. You know what I mean?
Basically, his presence would steal the show because of how popular he became during the time, and that wouldn't work with the studio as they were trying to make a team dynamic.
Yes. And also Dan Aykroyd worked with Eddie Murphy on Trading Places. Like he was his co-star. So him writing this one, it makes more sense why he would want him in a movie. The real reason Winston was a lesser character compared to other Ghostbusters was when Ernie Hudson signed on, Winston was in the script from page 1 and from page 8 rather than towards the end of Act 1, and was by far the most technically competent and qualified of the Ghostbusters. But Dan Aykroyd apparently still blames himself for Hudson's character being sidelined, which I don't want to get into yet now, but Dan Aykroyd wrote the sequel to the movie too, also with Harold Ramis, and in that one, Winston doesn't get any more screen time than he does in this movie. But that's not
True.
for us to talk about for now. We'll talk about that next week. So let's go over the movie. Like, let's do a play-by-play, since everyone knows this movie and people are most likely going to be listening to this to catch up before the new movie comes out. All right?
All right.
We start off the movie with an ominous opening to the library right after seeing a very menacing looking lion at the beginning of the movie. You notice that? Like, did you think that lion was going to move at any point?
No, I actually didn't think about that too much.
I thought of it because like the music was like, while the crane shot was going down, it was panning, it cut right to that lion, and it was like da 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 da.
It did feel like it was leading up to something, but to be honest, considering what I know about these kinds of movies, there's not really much that happens in the first like part of the movie. I think this is the first movie that from that time that actually has a lot of stuff going on in the first part of the movie, because like a lot of movies I noticed from back then are mostly build up. Like they just keep going for a build up of what's to come, the events and what's popular in the movie doesn't come until much later.
Right. Then we see that the librarian gets gets spooked by some ghosts. We don't see yet. We cut to the opening. You know, this might be a good time to acknowledge that with this episode, Sergio, an audience, we're going to speak the language that they speak in this movie, which is a PG movie. So we're going to be able to say the TV-14 language, okay, everyone? Everyone got that?
Wait, during that era or during what we now think is PG-14?
Well, what we would consider now TV-14 and what was then PG.
Because back then they would curse even in some of those movies.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Back then it was PG, now it will be PG-13 or TV-14.
Okay.
So if you watch, most likely people are watching this are already saw the movie, so they're used to this language. I think that'd be the best way going across this. What do you think?
Yeah.
All right, so we then cut to meeting. We first then get our introduction to Peter Venkman, who is in the middle of doing a test with two college students. And both of them are both suck at doing the cards, like doing the memorizing, like trying to see if, what was he studying against, Sergio?
He was trying to study the negative, negative. He was
Reinforcement,
trying to study negative.
the negative effect on
Um,
people.
no, he was trying to test ESP, but with electroshocks, basically. I can't say what the
Also, I was right.
negative reinforcement, basically by punishing them to try and see if their ESP abilities would be more effective.
Right, and I remember because he said like the effect. I'll tell you the effect. It's pissing me off. uh
Yeah.
yeah. So then after all that, we see him confronting the girl, saying, "Yeah, you're gonna be used to that. You have a gift, and people are gonna want to hate on it." Basically that. And
Yeah.
then we see busting in the room. We see Ray coming and played by Dan Aykroyd, coming and saying, "Hey, did you hear about this new case? This new ghost theory that happened at the library? We gotta figure it out." So then both of them head over to the library, and they come across Egon Spangler doing around, seeing what other activities going around with the PKE meter, waving it around. Which personally, I've always wanted to have a PKE meter, but they're like
I'm
super.
pretty sure every kid during this time wanted something like that. Like, remember in Stranger Things when the kids all dressed up as Ghostbusters?
Yeah,
Yeah, I feel like that's a lot of kids during this time.
yeah. It's funny also thinking about like, I want to play as some like it's crazy thinking about like, no, you don't want to play as a kid or anything like that. Back then, all these kids want to be grown men. You ever realize that?
I mean, yeah, that's how most costumes are.
Well,
Usually
yeah,
grown men. I don't
yeah.
think like any of them want. I don't think like there are any costumes of like actual kids.
Well, yeah, I guess so. But like, oh, it's always middle-aged men too.
Uh-huh.
Okay, I thought you're gonna have some more bouncing off humor off that, but I
I'm
guess
not
like
really
Judge
sure.
said.
Well, like I said, there's a lot of like icons or like actors that are like middle aged and they play like pretty iconic characters that kids would love. So to me, it's not that much of like new information. Like pretty much any character you can think of is either grown or middle aged or something like that. There's not really like any kid that you would see that would be dressing up as another kid from some kind of a character from like fiction because there weren't a lot back then. It's only recently that there are some actual like kid characters in shows, movies, and other stuff that you could possibly like make costume out of because they've only started doing that nowadays. Well, they have been doing it for a while, but they have been as iconic as now, or even have anything they can make a costume based off of.
Okay, so back to the movie. Um, we then come across the first ghost that they see, just a librarian, a ghost librarian putting things up on the shelf. And they have their main plan is to just say hi, doesn't work. You see Ray go back and say, "I got an idea." They all slowly come back and he yell, "Get her!" He just charge at her and he gets scream, run away. And after the whole scene, they go back to the college where they work at and find out that they were all fired because basically they're not showing results and they're basically using their grants for lollygagging. Not really lollygagging, but for other purposes, which sounds illegal saying out loud. When do you think that's illegal?
Lollygagging?
No, like using a grant for other purposes than the one that's mainly given to you.
Well, no, because they didn't really. They already established that they're scientists, but they study like paranormal kind of stuff. So technically, that is within the realms of what they're using the grant for. It's just that they feel like their department has not been proven any kind of results of any kind of like achievements or like any kind of progress. So they decided that the department should be shut down in order to save the college more money, so they can put the money into other departments that prove like useful.
Okay. So then we get to the very famous iconic line, "Call it fate, call it luck, call it karma. I believe everything happens for a reason." It's a very small line, but it is a thought-provoking line. You know what I mean?
I'm not sure if it's really thought provoking because it's something that pretty much anyone would have come up with by thinking about fate or destiny. But I can see what you mean. It does give some food for thought.
Right. And that inspiration pushes them to sell Ray's house so they can go start business of becoming Ghostbusters, which kicks the plot going. And the first option they see is a firehouse, the iconic firehouse, which actually still exists, Sergio, over in New York. And they think that it's not a good idea to buy this house. I mean, buy the firehouse because basically structurally it's terrible. So not a good place to work at. The power supply is not what they want. It's all look like it's about to be condemned. But the pole works. The pole's great. So we had to buy it. Ray likes it, so we had to get it.
It's like when parents would want to get like a certain thing, but then their kid says, "I love it," then they get it anyways.
Exactly. But that's like a big investment for just one thing that's okay. Like if that was me, I would push him to the side saying, "Hey, Ray, buddy, I know you like the pole, but this is not it. This is not the place to get the pole. We can get a pole at the other house."
Yeah.
So then we cut to meeting Sigourney Weaver, played by Dana, played by Sigourney Weaver, going to her apartment and coming across Lewis, played by Rick Moranis. And when we were watching this, Sergio, you said that he creeped you out mostly of all the characters in the movie. Did he creeped you out the most?
I think so. Mostly because like how he was introduced, it seemed very creepy, mostly because of the behavior he said that he did, saying that he tried to break into her apartment to shut off her TV. Even though I get the gesture of trying to like help, it still at the time when you hear someone trying to break into your apartment to even if it's just to like turn off your TV because they can hear it, it's like it seems strange. I don't know. I guess that like was off-putting for me.
He's a strange guy.
No, I get that. But still, though, that behavior doesn't seem like something that even a strange guy would do because of how kind of illegal that kind of sounds.
I'm just picturing a Rick Moranis, like Lewis just hanging outside the building. No one questioning why there's a man in sweatpants outside, hanging outside a building. Like, oh, no one's saying, "Oh my God, he's gonna jump" or anything like that. No, we don't see that. That's not important. Actually, did he say did he actually go in the apartment, or did he say that he tried but didn't work?
He said he tried and didn't work. That's why he turned on his TV.
Okay. So then after that, we see the eggs. She places her eggs on the table, which an effect that still holds up because I don't know how they did the effect where it starts cooking on the table. How do you think they did that?
I think they put something under the eggs to cook them so it looks like they're popping off. Or they had the counter, they had the counter that was actually a stove disguised as a counter to cook the eggs.
That seems
Or
more
it could have been something completely different. It seems like those were the one thoughts I had. What about you? What did you thought?
I honestly thought the same thing. I thought maybe they put a stove on top of it and just put the tiles on top of the stove. And we
Yeah.
see her look in the refrigerator and you see a demonic dog yelling "Zoo."
Hmm.
Now we see the Ghostbusters. They're all in business. They got a sign. They got everything coming out. They got a car. And the one thing that you questioned throughout the movie was like the time span between all of this. Because like you got me start questioning it too. Because in that time they don't acknowledge like what time it took for anything to actually happen. Because right after we see them get the house, we then cut to them being on the TV in Dana's house, like as a commercial. And commercials take a long time to produce, but yeah, it clearly was not an expensive commercial. It still takes time for it to go on TV and air. And nonetheless, buying a car too. How much money do you think Ray had?
Wait, who paid for it? Ray?
Yeah, he sold his house.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I know these things are expensive, but
Might
like you said,
be an old car, so that's already like a couple bucks off there.
Yeah.
And it's an old house. I mean, it's an old firehouse too. That looks like about to be condemned, so that might be less money there.
Yes, and that was a huge amount of money for something that was not that good to begin with.
Right. And the money for like the suits and jetpacks. I mean, not like jet. Why did I say jetpacks? And also for the proton packs and all the equipment. Well, I guess it might have money from their jobs already still too. It might have pitched in too. Probably. I like to think so. They're good friends like that. We then we see Dana going to the Ghostbusters building saying, "Hey, I need some help with my ghost problem." which leads to Peter Venkman going to help her out at her house, saying, "Oh yeah, I got it." I'm not gonna do an interpretation of it, but you see him going around her house using a weird wand. Did they ever explain if that's an actual ghost weapon or just looks like something to kill weeds with outside?
Hmm.
The thing that he's holding in his hand when he was all around Dana's house trying to spray it down, didn't that look like something you would spray weeds with?
Yeah, it looks like a weed sprayer.
Yeah, because they never really acknowledge if that's actually a ghost thing. But then again, we don't know what the time span it had. So at this time,
True, but
are we to believe that they
But
only got?
remember how like how he is. He's kind of like how she described him as a game show host, where he's just putting on a show to hide his actual intentions because he actually likes her. So he's just trying to get like a date out of her.
And it looks like it's working too, because then, wait, does it work? Yeah, it does work, kind of.
Sort of, not at first, but she does warm up to him
Right.
because she just went through like a very horrifying experience with this ghost, and he's over here making kind of like a joke out of it, but he's also comforting her.
And we also learn later when they're eating dinner, saying that all their petty cash is wasted on this last food that they have right now. We find out later in the movie that they paid her. Dana paid her and paid them in advance. Wouldn't it mean that they have money for more food?
Wait, what?
Remember later in the movie, they said that Dana paid them in advance. They said that we shouldn't stop we should probably help the lady that paid us in advance.
Yeah, but they're all out of money, which is why they said that that money they had from her they used to actually buy their food.
Oh, that's not really that much money.
Well, yeah, they don't really have a whole lot of ways to charge her a whole lot. Most because it was just like them going over to her apartment and checking it out. And remember, he didn't really do anything besides like make like a bogus kind of like sprayer.
So then we get our first call with the iconic line.
We got one!
Well, we didn't even actually acknowledge Janine. Janine, played by Annie Potts. This is like her first this is her first role too. She hasn't had like a big movie before this, but it's like a small role, but it's a still memorable role. She gets more play like in the sequel. So they get their first call. They're on their way to the hotel, and they come across the iconic villain. They're not really villain. The iconic ghost Slimer, the green ghost. If no one has seen the movie, and this is the point where they would have had Ernie Hudson be in the movie, which is actually 10 minutes before he would be in a movie, 30 minutes into the movie. But I don't want to get into that again. So we come across Slimer. He signs Bill Murray.
He slimed me.
That's great! Actual physical contact! Can you move?
And we get to the ballroom while they're shooting everything up, while they're trying to catch him. Honestly, the funniest thing in that whole scene to me is the scene where they're like, "Help me move this," and they just throw the table across the room, and you hear in the background.
Yeah, you see them just like throwing stuff all over the place, trying to make room for the fact that they're trying to catch a ghost.
No, but it's like it's hearing the
reactions of the people from outside.
Yes, hearing the reactions of people outside,
or hearing the commotion that's happening inside from the outsider's perspective.
Yeah, it's
of the people outside.
All the collateral damage that they don't pay for. But that's
also one thing that came up was you hear them charging the guy from the hotel. So I'm wondering, how much did they charge Dana actually?
Knowing Bill Murray, they might give her a discount.
Probably, but how much was that? Because like the amount of the equipment they used to capture the ghost, and now it's like over $5,000. So I'm wondering, how much did they actually charge her?
They never really said.
Yeah, so that makes the question, like, what's their charge for all of this?
They screw the guy over. Look,
true.
Like, how much was it? Like, I think it was like $4,000.
I said $5,000.
Yeah, like I never knew it would be that much. I'm not paying it. Oh, that's fine. We'll just put the ghost back inside. Yeah. Then now they're recognized as Ghostbusters, and ghosts are popping up all around the town, out of nowhere, basically. Until we find out later that Ghosts are an interdimensional being is
trying to reawaken.
I'm sorry?
He's trying to enter the dimension or like reawaken or something like that.
Yes. So that's the reason why ghosts are popping up out of nowhere in New York and New York only.
To be honest, I can kind of see why like the government or like the mayor was sending people to investigate, because all this is very coincidental. Like all this is very coincidental. Ghosts start popping up out of nowhere, and all of a sudden there's these Ghostbusters that are going around town charging people to take care of these ghosts that coincidentally pop up.
Right. Dan Aykroyd and Harold Ramis were really good at covering their tracks a little bit when they're covering the plot holes in the movie when they're writing it. So I admired that too. So we got our montage of them cleaning up the city. We get a cameo from Casey Kasem, who voiced Shaggy in the Scooby-Doo cartoons on the radio, and we then see Bill Murray and Sigourney Weaver saying, "Hey, you want to go on a date?" Like, okay, yeah, sure. And see him happy, like walking all while like, right after rehearsal too. It's actually a cute scene with them just talking outside, and while this snide-nosed player just next to them saying, "Who's that guy?" "Oh no, I'm just a friend. He's a Ghostbuster." Yeah. I like it. It's nice. And explain what happened, why all things are happening to our house with Zool and Gozer. Then we get our introduction to Winston Zeddemore, played by Ernie Hudson, and he's a blue collar guy, just wants to get a steady paycheck. That's the only main reason why he joined the team. When they ask him if he believes in the paranormal and paranormal stuff, he just says,
"If there's a steady paycheck in it, I'll believe anything you say."
So it's nice to know that there's not really people that are disbelieving him. Like it's cool that just some guy coming out of the street saying, "Hey, I want to join the team." All right. Even getting paid for it? Yeah. So then we get an explanation on how they captured a ghost by locking it up in the vault, which will come up back later in the movie. And we meet Walter Peck, played by William Atherton. Here's a fun fact for you. So this movie ruined William Atherton's life with random people yelling, "Hey, Dickless," at him in the streets. He was then typecast as...
Wait, I thought that was what the Ghostbusters were calling him because of how much of an asshole he was.
Yeah, but in real life, this movie ruined his life because people out in the street were calling him Dickless.
Damn.
Yeah.
How's he doing now? Or is he still alive, isn't he?
Oh, he is doing good. He's in the new one. He's in Frozen Empire. He's in the trailer.
Oh, okay.
Yes, I guess the wound healed over.
I guess so.
But it's kind of funny. Like after that role, he got typecast as jerk characters for the next decade. Like he was in Die Hard and a movie called Biodome as a jerk, the snob jerk. And we find out he worked for the Environmental Protection. He works for the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency, and is trying to figure out why they're like, he doesn't believe anything that the Ghostbusters is saying to them. So he wants to see where they're containing the ghosts because he just thinks that they're all lights and mirrors, smoke and mirrors. So Peter Raymond says, "No, I don't want to show you." He's like, "You will show it to me." Like, fine, all right, bring the cops over. Sure, I'll show it to you. Later in the movie, they bring the cops and release all the chaos and all the ghosts that were captured into the New York, and chaos ensues. You see ghosts in cabs, which look like actual cabbies, and now our cabbie audience is unsubscribing at this moment. Great. Now it's gonna be even harder for me to get a taxi in New York. We then see Dana get captured by Zool and transformed into the Gate Master, and we see Louis Tully get chased around the street by a Zool dog and turn into the Key Master, which up until now, I've watched this movie over hundreds of times growing up. I never noticed Rick Moranis, the man, was the Key Master, and why Sigourney Weaver, the woman, was the gatekeeper.
I'm personally surprised that you never caught up on that.
Well, because it's a subtle joke. I didn't really pick up on it until now.
Well, yeah, but you told me what happens when they got possessed and they got together. So I just figured that you would have known about that.
Some things just fly over people's heads, Sergio.
That doesn't seem like something that should fly over your head if they do what they did when they possessed.
Well, it did. I just didn't pick up on it. I was too amazed by everything else I was seeing that I didn't pick up on that one thing. It happens to everyone, Sergio. So I could count over 5 times, like, on top of my head that you were like, "Oh," and start laughing like that. But I'm not gonna pull it up because we're getting off topic. So then they get taken over to the government, to the mayor's office by Walter Peck, saying that they are chaos ensuing, that they caused an explosion, and we all know the truth. They didn't do it. Walter Peck did. He forced them to. Then they get told by the government saying, "Hey, we gotta stop this," and they say, "Oh, okay, well, let's get a priest," and it says, "I think it's an act of God, but don't quote me on that," which is one of the best lines in the whole movie. Have anything to say about this scene?
Which scene again?
The scene where they're in the government, in the mayor's office.
No, not really.
All right. Let's just say also that there are over 5 iconic lines in that one scene alone. It's honestly an amazing scene, like an amazing scene if you think about it. We got Winston saying,
Since I joined these men, I have seen shit that'll turn you white.
we got Bill Murray saying,
Human sacrifice, dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria.
we got the priest saying, "It's a sign of God, but don't quote me on that." We got William Atherton saying, Dan Aykroyd calling him Dickless in the scene. It's like 4 iconic lines in that one scene alone, which no one ever talks about. That's awesome. Anyway, so then they convince the mayor to save the day by telling him that you'll be saving a lot of voters. So they're like, "Oh yeah, sure, go ahead, save the day." Which cue the music called "Save the Day." Most of the songs in this movie haven't been as iconic as the main song in the movie, like the Ray Parker Jr. Ghostbusters theme song. Every other song in this one don't really have any significance besides just being in the movie, which wasn't supposed to happen. They had a composer compose songs the whole movie, but then at the last minute they said, "Hey, let's add some songs in this one." So somewhere out there is a unused score for Ghostbusters, which we need to find.
If it's unused, wouldn't it be like in the vault? Wouldn't it be in the vault?
Probably.
Because do you think they would have sent it out into the internet?
Maybe. I'm gonna do my research on it.
I mean, we can try and look for it, but I don't know if it's going to be anywhere.
Probably not. And also, now we lead to the one scene I thought was always weird that they had in the movie because it had no significance in the rest of the plot whatsoever, which is them up right in front of the hotel, about to walk in, but then next thing you know, oh no, the floor collapses. What do? We just get out. And now we're back in
Before
the
collapses
corner.
and the Ghostbusters all just fall into it.
Yeah, and then they just get back out and they're like, "All right, that was weird. Let's go in." It seemed like it had no reason to be in the movie, but it's funny that it's still in there because it looked like really expensive. I still don't know how they threw it, how they did it.
I think the whole reason why they had it in there is because they had a plan for it, but that plan fell apart because they didn't have the budget for it. So they just went along with it because of how expensive the shot was.
More than likely, because also there's a lot of deleted scenes in this one and the sequel that they either shot and didn't use or wrote but didn't film.
Yeah.
And so we see them going up the stairs, about to stop him at the roof, and come across Gozer the Gozerian. Wait, is that his name? Is that his actual name, Gozer the Gozerian?
I don't know. Because they mentioned that Gozer was mentioned in several different civilizations, so he goes by many names. So I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, it is Gozer the Gozerian. I just checked.
Oh, okay.
And so they tried defeating Gozer, didn't really work out. If they disappeared, and they say, "Hey, you know what? I'll make it easy for you. Tell me how you want to be destroyed, and you think about it, and I'll make it for you. Don't worry about it." And they're like, "Okay, let's just think something."
Then they say to keep their minds blank, except for Ray, who couldn't keep his mind blank. And then before you know it, what was the name again for that thing?
Stay Puft Marshmallow Man.
Trying to think of the most non-threatening thing. The
It just popped in there. Well, there's something you don't see every day. That effect still kind of holds up. I'm still not sure if
Yeah.
that was stop motion. It looks like it can't be stop motion, can it? It's too fluid.
No, it's not. No, it's too fluid to be stop motion.
Right.
What I think is that they made a model kind of like city, like how they do in the old-fashioned Godzilla movies, then have someone in an inflatable suit walk around as the Marshmallow Man.
Right.
Then they filmed over it.
And they had like an overlay over it.
Yeah, that's what I think they did.
That'll make more sense. Yeah, because it's moving too well. Yeah, I'm seeing right now. And so they try shooting it up. They try blasting it and realize it doesn't work. The only way to do it is to cross the streams. And which leads to them saving a day. Marshmallow cream goes everywhere across the whole street. Or if you want to go by technicals, they just use shaving cream everywhere. And with Winston giving the last line of the movie,
I love this town!
cue the Ghostbusters theme song, and end of the first movie. We actually know one more thing. They end with the most awkward kiss in film history with Bill Murray and Sigourney Weaver, like him just shoving his face against hers. It felt so weird.
Because of everything that happened, or because is that the fact that they're kissing at this moment?
No, visually just an awkward looking kiss. It didn't feel passion or anything. It's like, hey, come over here. Closer, closer. Oh, we're touching. Closer. Okay. It felt weird.
You're saying their performance wasn't like convincing?
Yeah, it didn't feel convincing. It really felt forced.
It might have been, because I do know like in some movies they do have to force themselves to actually kiss, because of like there was this one time in a movie where the actress had a really bad toothache, so kissing her co-star was very painful. It could have been something like that.
God,
Like they just couldn't get like the right performance right.
Man, that must have sucked. If you
Yeah.
can't kiss someone because of toothache, I'm gonna go into the dentist that day to get it fixed.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, baby. I can't
But
kiss you. I got a toothache. I'm sorry. That feels weird. That sounds weird.
yeah.
And so yeah, we wrap up the day with them with the awkward kiss and the Ghostbusters driving away, and that's the end of Ghostbusters 1. Let's give our rating, Sergio. I'll go first. 5 out of 5. No questions about it. Always gonna be 5 out of 5. Never gonna change. Always gonna stay 5 out of 5. No matter what year is going on, 5 out of 5. You?
To be honest, it's funny, but I didn't enjoy it as much as you did.
You didn't?
No.
Oh my god.
And I'm not sure what rating to give it.
5.
I'd say
5. Should give it a 5.
3.8.
3.8.
Yeah. I did like some parts about it, but overall the movie wasn't that enjoyable for me.
What exactly wasn't enjoyable for you?
The mass amounts of weird and gross humor, but like I said before, there are some parts where it has some really good jokes, but overall I was very confused throughout the whole thing. I did enjoy it. The music is great. Some of the jokes slap, but
Did you just say slap?
yeah,
I never heard you say slap before.
I know.
It felt weird. Go ahead.
And I don't know. For me, like when I first saw it, they already established that all these people knew each other. They already had like a sort of dynamic, and I felt that was very rushed because I didn't get to know them, who they were, until like after they've already established that they're already a team. And that felt very strange.
As this movie came along, like as the movie went along more, I found out that there's more background that they're giving through us through exposition that makes it more authentic for me, in my opinion. Because I never really questioned how they met each other until now, and they explain like they're all from the same college, and they have a history of doing weird. Like Egon has a weird thing, like has weird tendencies. Like he collects spores, molds of fungus. He was about to drill a hole in his head, and that would have worked if Ray didn't stop him. Like small things like that. I thought was funny.
Yeah, I felt like those were more of a throwaway gag jokes because nothing ever came up of that. Like Egon is something like a mad scientist, but he doesn't do anything else similar to that besides make the proton packs.
Yeah. What do you want else? What else do you want him to make?
No, I just thought that he would do more stuff that would bring home his character a lot more. But it's kind of the same that he's been doing throughout the entire film. There's nothing different that he does or something unique to his character that he does besides what he's already done throughout the entire film. I guess what I'm saying is that these characters are very static. That's not a bad thing, because you get to a feel for the characters at the beginning of the movie, then you follow them along this journey, and it's great. But for me, I thought that coming into this movie that they would be a little more dynamic, where they might do some changes, or you might learn more about their character than you wouldn't by not watching this movie, I guess.
So you wouldn't recommend this movie?
No, I would recommend this movie to other people. It's just that for me, I didn't enjoy it as much as I thought it would, which I guess kind of like hindered my experience of it.
Okay. Well, Sergio, just give it a 4 out of 5. I feel like you give it a 3.8 estimate, rounding that up to a 4.5. You can't put on a rating. You could give it 3.5, but not a 3.8.
Fine, 3.5.
No. Oh God. I walked into that one. There's egg on my face. So yeah, it's 3 out of 5 for Sergio and 5 out of 5 for me. So yeah, there you go. You know what? You know what time it is?
Is it lunchtime?
No, it's quiz time. In honor of it being the 40th anniversary of Ghostbusters, I'm gonna test your knowledge on this movie. Are you ready?
Sure.
All right. Until the end of the movie, what are the Ghostbusters not to do with their proton energy streams? A. Cross them. C. Supercharge them. B. Set them to kill. Or D. Reverse them.
A. Cross.
Is that your final answer?
Yes.
Correct the mundo. What color is Slimer? A. Orange. C. Red. B. Yellow. Or D. Green.
D. Green. Final answer.
Good job. Correct. What do the Ghostbusters call their ghost wrangling backworn machines? A. Proton packs. B. Phantom catchers. D. Baddie backers. Or C. Creature kicks.
A. Proton packs.
Yep. Got it right again. In the movie Ghostbusters, which role is played by Bill Murray? A. Peter Venkman. B. Louis Tully. D. Winston Zeddemore. Or C. Dr. Egon Spengler.
A. Peter Venkman.
Is that your final answer?
Yes.
You're right. Next one is in Ghostbusters, Louis Tully holds a party to celebrate the 4th anniversary of what? A. His marriage. B. Him becoming an accountant. D. His move to New York City. Or C. His first paranormal experience.
B. Him becoming an accountant.
Are you cheating? You can't see through the other side of the screen, right?
No, I can't see outside the screen.
You are most certainly correct. In the movie Ghostbusters, which agency does Walter Peck represent? A. The Human Rights Agency. B. Environmental Protection Agency. C. The Central Intelligence Agency. Or D. The Federal Bureau of Investigation.
B. Environmental Protection Agency. Final answer.
All right, let's see if you got it. And it's correct. Continue. And in which major city does the movie take place in? A. Come on. Be serious. A. New York City. B. Boston. C. Philadelphia. Or D. Los Angeles.
Imagine I just get one wrong on purpose just to make it look funny.
Is it Louisiana for 500?
I'm gonna go with A. New York City. Final answer.
Is that your final answer?
Yes.
You sure?
Yes.
What was it again? I didn't hear.
New York City.
Yeah, you're right. It's New York City. Of course it is. In the movie Ghostbusters, What begins cooking on Dana's counter? A. Sausages, B. Waffles, C. Bacon, or D. Eggs?
I'm so hungry right now.
That's not one of the answers, Sergio.
D. Eggs. Final answer.
Correct. What Hollywood actress portrays Dana Barrett in the Ghostbusters? A. Linda Hamilton, B. Gina Davis, C. Sigourney Weaver, or D. Susan Sarandon?
C. Final answer.
C. Sigourney Weaver? All right.
Yes.
And you are correct. The Temple of Gozer was built by Ivo Shandor and on top of what New York City building? A. The Flatiron Building, B. 30 Hudson Yards, C. The 56 Leonard, or D. The 550 Section Park West?
Oh, this one's harder. I'm gonna go with A. The Flatiron Building.
Is that your final answer?
Yes.
$500 are on the line here. You sure?
I don't care about $500.
Wow. Say that when you're broke. The answer is...
I am broke.
I'm sorry, wait. It's incorrect. You might not be able to hear it. That's X. You're incorrect. The Ghostbusters headquarters are located in what kind of building? A. Firehouse, B. Library, C. Cave, or D. Warehouse?
A. Firehouse.
Correct. In the movie Ghostbusters, which character gets slimed by a Slimer in the hotel? A. Peter Venkman, B. Janine Melnitz, C. Winston Zeddemore, or D. Louis Tully?
A. Peter Venkman.
Correct. Don't worry, we got 3 more to go. Complete this quote of Winston's from Ghostbusters. Ray, when someone asks if you're a god, you say blank. A. Yes, B. No, C. Sorry, or D. Serve me?
A. Yes.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, yes. You're right. Yes. What snack food was used by Egon Spengler to explain different levels of psychokinetic energy? A. Ho-Hos, B. Twizzlers, C. Twinkies, or D. Donuts?
C. Twinkie.
Yeah, it'll be pretty weird if that's a big ho-ho. Probably gets movie a PG-13 rating. Correct. Our final question. You ready for this one?
Yes.
Which actor portrayed the character Winston in Ghostbusters? A. Dan Aykroyd, B. Ernie Hudson, C. Harold Ramis, or D. Bill Murray?
B. Ernie Hudson.
All for nothing, you sure?
Yes.
Yep, you're right. Congratulations, Sergio. You won absolutely nothing. You win. Good day, sir. You did a good job, though. You did a lot more than I thought you would. But then again, I gave you most of the answers with us going through almost the whole movie.
True. That's what I was thinking. Like,
Should have done this before. I really screwed up on this one. Might do better next time.
Maybe.
Me, I would do better by making it harder. It's a way too easy questions. What color is Slimer? Oh, was it blue? No, it's green. These are easy questions. I should get a harder one.
Also, where'd you get this quiz from?
Grizzly.com.
Ah, okay.
GRIZLY.com. So yeah, it was a reliable source.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, let's wrap up.
Is that all we have? Is that all we have for this episode?
Yep. And this is just the beginning of our Ghostbusters month. Stay tuned next week for Ghostbusters 2 and we'll see you later. I'm Chance,
And I'm Sergio.
and we'll see you next time. Have a cinematic day. Hey everyone, thanks for listening, and be sure to subscribe to our channel and follow us on Instagram, Facebook, X, and TikTok at Brick Wall Cinema. Have a cinematic day. Hello, I'm Chance, the Riot,
Yeah, I'm Sergio.
and this is Brick Wall Cinema.
Ghostbusters, what do you want?
He slimed me.
We're ready to believe you.
Back off, man. I'm a scientist.
That's a big one.
We came, we saw, we kicked its ass. Dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria. Enough, I get the point.
Welcome to Brick Wall Cinema, and on today's episode, we are continuing Ghostbusters month with Ghostbusters II, the 1989 classic. I want to say classic. Okay, I'm gonna phrase that. The 1989 sequel to Ghostbusters 1 from 1984. It stars everyone coming back for it. Bill Murray as Peter Venkman, Dan Aykroyd as Raymond Stantz, Sigourney Weaver as Dana Barrett, Harold Ramis as Egon Spengler, Rick Moranis as Louis Tully, Ernie Hudson as Wilson Zeddemore, Annie Potts as Janine Melnitz, and two newcomers, Peter McNichol as Janusz Poha and Kurt Fuller as Jack Hardenmayer, aka watered down Walter Peck from the first movie, or Water Peck. Get it?
No, I do not.
He played the character that was like hating on the Ghostbusters at Town Hall, or City Hall. Basically the same character that was in the first movie. Yeah. Rated PG, directed by Ivan Reitman and produced by him, and written by Dan Aykroyd and Harold Ramis. It came out on June 16th, 1989, with a budget of $30 to $40 million budget, and it did a good job at the box office at $215 million worldwide. But sometimes the box office doesn't really say how the audience and critics feel. On Rotten Tomatoes, it says for critics, they gave it a 55%, and audiences gave it a 61%. So sort of meet in the middle by saying it's not good, but also not bad either. In a way, it's saying it's all right. It's there. Do we feel the same way? Maybe, maybe not. Let's start off.
Find out.
What?
Let's find out.
Oh, yeah. Let's find out. So let's give a little rundown on what happens in Ghostbusters 2. During the 5 years following the Gozer incident in the first film, the city of New York somehow came to blame the Ghostbusters for all the damage that had happened and sued them. The company went bankrupt, and the heroes took more mundane jobs. Rain Stantz owns an occult bookstore. He and Winston Zeddemore perform in their old uniforms at children parties. Peter Venkman is a cable TV host discussing the paranormal, and Egon Spengler is doing sociology research. But the ghosts start returning, and soon the Ghostbusters are back in business. Their top priority is to investigate a strange river of slime in an abandoned subway tunnel that seems to thrive on negative emotions and produce new ghost hauntings. Meanwhile, Dana Barrett now works at a museum as an art restorer. Her boss becomes a Renfield for the ghost of Vigo the Carpathian, an ancient tyrant magically preserved in a painting. Vigo has Dana's infant son Oscar kidnapped, intending to take over this child's body. When the Ghostbusters finally figure things out and arrive on scene, the museum is cocooned by a slime that they were investigating, and maintained as a physical manifestation of the negative emotions of New Yorkers. The Ghostbusters fight Vigo on the inside, aided by the spirit of New Yorkers and a holiday spirit on the outside to save the day. Now let's just start by saying this, Sergio. As I'm reading the synopsis, I realize the best way to summarize what happens in this movie is this Bobby Brown song, On Our Own. The opening line in that song is, Too hot to handle, too cold to hold. They called the Ghostbusters and they're in control. Had them throwing a party for a bunch of children. While all the while, the slime was under the building. So they packed up their grip, got a grip, came equipped, got their proton pack from the back, and they split. Found out about Vigo, the master of evil. Tried to battle my boys? That's not legal. I should have just said that instead. But yeah, it's there now.
Isn't it, so the song that's in the movie, right?
Yes. By Bobby Brown.
Oh, okay. Well, I do have one question. In the synopsis, it said that it's using the holiday spirit. What holiday is this taking place on?
Okay, so I'm gonna get to that. So let's just we're getting into this. I have a lot of notes for this, so let's just let's go. So I have a whole category called the timeline with this movie. So the movie starts off with them at the children party, like rushing to go get them. Let me start from the beginning.
Rushing to get to the party on time?
Yes, the movie starts off with the Ghostbusters driving a Ghostbusters mobile to a kids party. At the front door, you see that there's a wreath on the door. Let's assume that they put the wreath up early. So let's say it's around November. In that time, they got the lease for the firehouse back. They cleaned up the firehouse. They quit their jobs, rehired Janine as a receptionist. They got all their equipment back working. And it got a TV commercial running, and it ends on New Year's Day with everyone singing the New Year's song, I'll lose sang.
Sang?
You know, like, to all acquaintance be forgot. I'm not gonna, that basically that song.
I don't know that song.
It's a very popular song, Sergio. Everyone sings that on New Year's Day. Like, once the ball drops, then everyone starts singing it.
I've never been there.
Have you seen it on TV?
No.
You've never seen New Year's happen on TV?
I've seen New Year's happen on TV, but I never heard of any song or two that happens right after.
Well, maybe because there's a lot of noise going around. People saying Happy New Year. You might be dismissing. They're not really focusing on TV on New Year's, like exactly 12 o'clock. Who's watching now thinking about it, who really watches the TV on New Year's Day, like at 12 o'clock, instead of just celebrating around them, people around them saying Happy New Year, Happy New Year. So I guess that it's easy to not acknowledge it. But it's a song that people play on New Year's.
Or it must have been popular more back then because of how the fact that people could just watch it on TV and they would celebrate it by singing the song at the end of the year.
No, it's just popular still. It's still popular.
Well, this is the first time I'm hearing about it.
Yeah, but you don't, to be honest, Sergio, you do a lot of pop culture you're not really familiar with. That's why we have this podcast, so I can also inform you and the audience.
So, anyway, this is taking around like New Year's, right?
Right.
Okay.
From Thanksgiving to New Year's. All this happens.
That's in the course of like a few months.
2.
2?
No, 1.
Oh, 1 month?
1 month.
Thanksgiving to New Year's.
Yes.
That's 2 months.
Yes. No. Wait. That's end of Thanksgiving. That's almost 1 month. Like a month and a half. A month and a quarter. Let's say that.
All right. So, what do you want to talk about first?
Let's start off with how everyone has a new job in this movie. Every single person does. I briefly talked about it in the rundown, but let's just get into the details of it. Let's start with Peter Venkman. We see him hosting a talk show about physics called The World of the Psychic.
Wait, physics? You mean You mean like what's it called?
Physics. No, psychics.
Psychics.
That's what I said. I said psychics, right?
You said physics.
Oh, I meant to say psychics.
Okay. It's not that much different from what he was doing back in when he got the grant for the college. Except now like it seemed like he was trying to piggyback off the fact like he got pretty popular as a Ghostbuster, but ever since like that business went down, he tried to do something more with it by making like a TV show, maybe like a TV show out of it. Which honestly quite fits with his character considering like how throughout this entire time in the first movie, he, how Dana perfectly explained it, he sounded like a game show host, which fits perfectly with how his character is now in this movie, where he is acting like a game show host to talk about all these kinds of psychics.
Right. I thought it was funny that they said that the role was going to end in 2016 because that's when the franchise almost died. Because that's when the reboot came out.
True. But also is I believe that coincides with the Mayan calendar, or was that 2012?
You're thinking 2012.
Okay.
Yeah. Also, let's say that
I'm kind of surprised they didn't reference that though.
Really?
Well, yeah, they were talking about the whole point of the show was talking about like the end of the world, and I was surprised they didn't mention like the Mayan calendar, which was a big thing back then because like many people thought that 2012 was going to be the end of the world.
Maybe it was a deleted scene.
Maybe there was a lot of deleted scenes in this movie. You could tell.
Yeah. I don't know. It is weird how much they took out of this more than other movies. I don't know any other movie besides like Anchorman where they have like a whole so many deleted scenes that they made their own separate movie out of it with different side stories and stuff.
Except for this one, they didn't make any extra movie out of it.
Right?
I was wondering, like you said that it felt like they toned down it a bit for the kids, right? Because of the cartoon that came out but wasn't canon.
Right, the real Ghostbusters.
Yeah, I can kind of see that, but I did kind of enjoy this like more than I thought I would because we stated before like the first Ghostbusters was good. I stated that I didn't enjoy it as much as I thought I would, probably because of all the hype around it. Because I keep hearing people talk about it, saying how great it is. But I was surprised that I like this one almost as much as the first one. I would say around the same.
Wow.
But you had a lot of problems with it, didn't you?
Yeah. I'm not even gonna hide it. Yeah, I did.
Was it mostly like the deleted scenes, or was it because the humor felt more dumbed down?
Well, not really the humor. I can get what dumb humor. I can get with that, but it's what's the
No, not
word?
dumb humor. I meant like it felt like it was watered down. Like
Yeah,
it was
it felt like they watered it down. You're right. That was the reason why it sort of disconnected with me. And also the baby didn't need to be in this movie. The only reason it was in here because they needed Vigo to get into the body of a baby. But why a baby? Why not just a regular person? Like
I
a middle-aged man
guess
or a
it's
middle woman.
not probably explained, but that's usually what happens with like sort of possession. They're trying to get their own life back, but try and be controlled. It's easier to take over a baby's body because they have no real consciousness or mental blocks that an adult would. It's weird like that. Also because you would have more restriction, more a harder time taking over a person who already has an idea of who they are. Well, that's my line of thinking of why he would want to take over a baby. But every single possession almost always takes over with a younger body, mostly because the person that's trying to take over the world or whatever tries to go for a younger body compared to a more matured body because, well, they get to live longer.
Okay, that makes more sense.
Yeah.
So let's get back to the characters and where they are now. Then we see Egon Spengler working in a laboratory experiment on human emotions and feels of rooms for some reason.
Yeah, that's actually not too far off what actual scientists do. They try to manipulate certain variables to see if they have any effect on the subjects. Like when he said to drop the temperature, make it higher, make it lower, that all is actually what a scientist would do if they were testing if the temperature has any effect on the attitudes of the people inside the room. Which sounds kind of like weird science because of the all the random variables that they seem to be influencing. But it does kind of make sense when you're trying to figure out what exactly can affect the emotions of certain of people.
Yeah, he also was looking at trying to see if he could take away a puppy from a little kid.
I'm not sure what his thought process was with that,
Me
but
neither.
I'm not sure if anyone can figure out him.
Yeah. So then we also see Ray stands. He owns a bookstore called Ray's Occult and also works part-time with Winston as a children's entertainer. And that's all we get about Winston for this whole movie. We don't get any other information on what he does outside of him being a TV, like working with kids.
Oh yeah, that's true. Like he pops up in random scenes but then disappears in the next one.
We're gonna get to that. That's another category I have. Dana
I mean, we're
Barrett.
already
I know. Sorry. Yeah. Trust me. We're going through all of it. Dana Barrett. She worked in a New York orchestra in the first movie, but 5 years later is now working art restoration. How do you do that? How do you get from working in the New York orchestra to restoring art in a museum?
Hmm. Well, it could be the fact that the arts restoration job probably has more consistent hours, which is a job that she probably wanted to get so that she can spend more time with the baby. But as far as I know, to get to anywhere in this kind of position, you just need connections or people who know about these kind of job openings. My guess is that she met someone who has great taste in art and during one of her orchestra performances, and she was able to get a job from there.
Do you think it
But
was Jan?
I know what you're saying by saying like it's a weird kind of transition from positions.
Do you think it was Janusz?
Uh, maybe I am not 100% sure about that.
Me neither. Next we got Louis Tully. He was the Ghostbusters lawyer slash accountant.
Wait,
How
how does he get it from an accountant to a lawyer?
you questioning that? Not working as a composer, like not working at orchestra from art restoration?
Well, no, because I've seen that happen. There
Really?
are some people who go from that kind of job to more like consistent hours with like art restoration, or even like just working at a museum in general, mostly because of either connection or of a well, you don't really actually need any qualifications to actually become an art restoration besides just some practice in art or what it is you're going to do, because most of the art restoration is taken care of by the lead artist, while the other staff just make sure that everything is just kept in proper condition. Whereas becoming a lawyer actually requires some qualification going to law school. But as he stated before, he is an accountant, which I'm not sure has anything to do with actually being a lawyer. Not to mention that he does a terrible job of actually being a lawyer.
Right. He literally asking the witness what's going on as it's going around, like it's happening. And so now we could talk about Winston. That's my next category. Where's Winston? So I got 3 different instances of him not being there or coming in the last minute. When they're working on the street to find out to see the subway with all the pink slime, you don't see him at all. You see Peter, Ray, and Egon, but no Winston. You see Winston appearing at the beginning of the court case, but gone once the ghost pop up because I guess he went to the bathroom. I don't know. They didn't give a reason, so I should try to give it a reason. But it also, when the fire erupts in the picture developments, when they're developing pictures in the firehouse, he just pops in out of nowhere with the fire extinguisher, and before he gets to say one line, they cut to the next scene.
Oh yeah.
Most
Although to be honest, I feel like that could be explained by the fact that they're in the firehouse and he is just like somewhere in the office. But the other ones I do get it. It's weird how they just kind of forget him for most of the time and make him just convenient for like when they need an extra man on the scene.
yeah, once they go to court, he's right there. But once they need help saving the day, he's not there. In that same scene, like they never say where he went. We don't have any information about his background, or his friends or family. Nothing. It's kind of frustrating, and I'm sad. It's frustrating to think that the only reason that they left him in this movie is probably because he was in a TV show.
I thought they tried to keep consistent with the first movie, even though it's like 5 years later.
They can just say that he died or quit.
How could he die when dealing with ghosts?
It
Because
could,
like
it could be
in the first movie, people were scared, sure, but no one actually died or even got hurt.
oh, someone died for sure.
Like who? Because
No one we know, but
if that were the case, if someone died, then wouldn't that come up in court?
it probably did. But all the collateral damage with the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, someone gotta die.
Well, it's never mentioned, nor do they feel any guilt for anything.
Maybe someone was allergic. Maybe someone was allergic to marshmallows, and when the Marshmallow Man exploded and it covered the whole street, some people might have died.
I don't know many people who are allergic to marshmallows, but
But you,
still, though, that would have come up in court.
but you know a lot of people that work in the orchestra, but then start restoring art
Why did that come? Why are you bringing that up?
because it's a weird thing to transition to. It's weird that you know someone that transitioned from that to that. I'm not weird for pointing that out. It's pretty weird.
I know I said it before. It's a weird change of positions considering like where she was, but it does make sense with the fact that she wants to have more consistent hours so that she can go back to her family, to her baby that she needs to take care of.
Okay. Also, one more thing is with Winston, we don't have any iconic lines with him in this one. I don't know anyone that's out there spouting Ghostbusters 2 quotes.
I don't know anyone who's found Ghostbuster quotes in general, except for you, anyways. But I do get what you mean. The first one did have more iconic lines for like each of the characters. This one just felt like they were trying to continue it, but they had no idea in which direction to go, which explains all the deleted scenes for like every now and again. You can tell from when was it Raymond that has the occult?
Yes.
Raymond, you told me that he originally was planned to be possessed when he was looking at the painting.
Right.
And there was even a scene in the beginning of the montage where Raymond is driving and they're looking at him as if he's crazy. That was supposed to be the scene when he was possessed and is driving around the street all crazy like.
Yeah, I think it's in the comic book version of this movie.
There's a comic book?
Yeah. Man, they had toys, cartoons.
No, I know they had toys and cartoons. I just didn't know there was a comic book version of this movie. But is the comic book like darker or is it have a different tone?
Honestly, I don't remember. I was like 8 when I read it. I just remember seeing
Alright.
that.
I think that the whole idea of this was that they wanted to go for something like a better story than the first one. But it kind of got muddled out due to like the fact they wanted to make it for kids because of the impact that the cartoon had, which was more for kids anyways.
I think I know what the problem is with this too. They're letting the story drive the humor, but not letting the humor drive the story like the first movie. Because in the first movie, yeah, it's simple. Ghosts are going around, but we sort of need an explanation of why they're coming around. So they basically said, hey, this interdimensional being wants to come back to our world and destroy it. There you go. This one is, we have this painting, this guy in it, Vigo, and he wants this baby and wants to take over the world or whatever. And yeah, demon baby, New Year's Eve, chaos ensuing. It felt like the story was first and foremost with this, and that's not really what you need with this type of movie. We just need them ghost busting, which they don't do for a long period of time. Like the only time that they do, they start doing it is in that courtroom, and that's like 30 to 40 minutes in.
You said 15 minutes.
It cannot have been 15 minutes.
You paused it. It said 15 minutes.
Really?
Yeah.
No.
That's what I remember when we watched it. You said 15 minutes.
15 minutes?
We can pause it right now and see like how long into it.
Yeah, I will. Hold on. Give me a second.
That is the whole problem with aliens, is you just can't trust them. Occasionally you meet a nice one, Starman, E.T., but usually they turn out to be some kind of big lizard.
No, you're wrong, Sergio. The Ghostbusters were just playing with the baby at this time.
So hang on. Let's go to when they ghost bust. How long was that into the movie?
Okay, so around 30 minutes into the movie.
Okay. Wait, no, not 30 minutes. It's a little bit further than that.
Like around 35. Yeah, 35 minutes into the movie. 35 into our Ghostbusters movie.
Wait, hang on. Then that brings up the question. What was the whole point of the court case of making it so long?
Oh my god. Okay, we're going to the court case scene. I have a whole category for this. Let's start with the quote an actual quote from the judge when they first go into courtroom. The law doesn't recognize the existence of ghosts. I don't believe them either. Leave the ghost stories to the kiddies. They got sued for conjuring up the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man and the collateral damage that followed. And they got sued by every state, county, and agency in New York. And they got stiffed by the bill. How can they get sued for ghosts if the law doesn't believe in ghosts?
This is what I came up with as an explanation for this. Since there was no evidence of actual ghosts, only just eyewitness reports, they determined that it was just, as they said in the first movie, where the EPA guy said they were using a hallucinogenic vapor or some kind of drug to make people think they see ghosts, then charge them for actually pretending to bust the ghost, making it seem as a sort of scam. Now, it doesn't make sense to put them all with the bill because of things that they have no control over. But I see how they were trying to frame it in this movie, saying as they thought it was all just a big scam and tried to make them pay for it. Although it doesn't make sense to do it from every city, state, province inside the New York state, as they were not all over New York. They were just in that one town.
Yeah.
So the humor seems strange to me in this movie.
Strange how?
Because, well, it seemed like they tried to be more funny, but they only went really into certain jokes, like the joke where they went into the sewer and they were being questioned by the police. Remember?
Yeah.
That seemed like the one time they were trying to make like a real performance out of the joke, whereas the others they just seemed situational, which I get it was similar to the first one, but this one felt the humor felt kind of off. Like how you kind of said this was, it felt like they were going with the story rather than with the jokes.
They forgot what made the first one so special was a fluke. Honestly, let's be honest. The first movie was a fluke. No one expected that to be as big as it was. So them trying to bring it again and saying, basically doing a sequel reset to make it more.
Make it a carbon copy.
Yeah, because I actually brought up examples of other movies that do like sequel resets to make it more understanding what happened in this one. So
Like which ones?
remember the Hangover movies?
Where they keep doing the same thing.
Yes, and
Just
they
in different
acknowledge.
just in different places.
Yes, Home Alone 2. They got lost in New York. They do the same thing. Literally keep on saying, it's not like the last time, or I did it again.
Actually, that was different. Sure, he's home alone, but he's home alone because he wasn't left behind, but because they got mixed up with the flights.
He met an creepy old person, then started befriending them, and then then they came back at the end to destroy to help stop the villains.
It's the same story, just different places. Whereas this one is it's just exactly the same.
Back to the Future.
The Ghostbusters, Back to the Future.
Back to the Future 2 and 3 and 1 actually 1, 2, and 3, all of them. They go to the time period, beat up the bully. They have a chase down the street. They get covered in crap, and
is that bad?
It's not bad. I mean, I'm just saying that these are examples of movies that do carbon copies, like sequel resets, to where they can, in order to make the movie happen again, we need to do the same thing over again, so people could be like, oh, okay, this is what happened in this one. I sort of get it, or a reason sort of to make more jokes that they missed it out in the first movie.
Wait, when did these movies come out? Like, I know this one came in 1980s, in the 80s, right?
1989 for 2.
Okay. And the Home Alone series, was that in the 80s or 90s?
90s. 91 for the first one, I believe 92 for the second one.
Okay. And for Back to the Future, was that before or after this?
Back to the Future was before that. Was in between 1 and Ghostbusters 1 and Ghostbusters 2. It came out in 1985.
I'm sensing a trend here. There seems to be a lot of that happening around this time period.
Well, I got some more that came out later in the late 90s, like Austin Powers 2. I know how much you loved Austin Power movies, Sergio.
No, my sister loved Austin Power movies. I like watching it with her because the humor was funny and you didn't have to take it very seriously. It was the whole point of it was just to make a parody of the James Bond movies. That's why I didn't really take it seriously. And it's just funny to laugh at.
Okay. And so like in the sequel, it starts off with Vanessa from the first movie. After they end up getting married in the first movie, she turns out to be a robot and dies, and now he's single again. These are basically examples of movies where sequels where the creators might have had an idea or jokes they wanted to do in the first movie but didn't think to do, and they need an excuse to do them again for the sequel. Or movies that they didn't expect to have a sequel and need a reason to come back because they didn't have any more ideas outside of what they had first. They don't know how to expand on the story.
Do you think that's what happened right here for the Ghostbusters 2? Or do you think they had an idea for what they wanted the story to go through, but they didn't have an idea of how to bring the crew back?
I think they had an idea. They just didn't know how. Also,
to execute it?
Yeah, probably. Because the first one felt like it was a passion project for Dan Aykroyd to make. And so I'm guessing he might have had ideas for sequels.
It makes sense that he had ideas for sequels, because remember that scene where they fell into this big crack into the street?
Yeah. In the first one?
Yeah, you and I both agreed that felt like it didn't need to be in the movie, which gave us the impression that there was supposed to be a much more dramatic shot with a lot more money to it, but they didn't have the money for it, so they just kind of played it off.
Right. Okay. One thing I don't know how they explained in this movie, because they never did. Why is their sign, or like their logo, a 2 now?
I never saw that.
Really?
Yeah, I said that during the movie. I couldn't see it.
Yeah, like once they get the Ghostbusters thing coming back together, all their decals and all their logos have the number 2 on them. Like the logo for the movie. Like I'm wondering how structurally in that movie does it make sense? even on their suits, they have the new logos.
I can't see it.
Well, right now, for the audience to understand, I'm showing Sergio clips from the movie right now so he can see if he understands what's going on. Because I need him to understand this is an important thing that they never acknowledge. It's understandable for us, the audience, because yeah, it's a sequel, but you don't need that for them. You don't see Spider-Man coming around having a number 2 next to his Spider-Man logo.
Oh yeah, that big sign.
Yeah, so now you see it.
Yeah, the one sign.
No, not the one sign. It's all of it. The car has the decals. The suits have the decals. Everything has the decals. They have stickers. Just trust me on this, man. Even if you look
but
on,
I don't see it on the suits besides that one sign that they had.
You weren't paying attention to it. That's why it was very, very prevalent throughout the whole movie.
I'm looking at the clips you're showing right now. There is none on there, and there's very few scenes with them with their suits on.
Yeah, that's another problem. I'm going through the whole movie. I'm scrubbing through it, and we are having troubles finding Ghostbusters in their Ghostbuster suits. We see more of them in their underclothes, like their lingerie clothes. No, not the lingerie clothes.
You mean the pajamas?
Yeah, we see them more in their pajamas than we do in their Ghostbusters costumes. In their uniforms.
Can't believe you confused that with lingerie.
What?
You confused that with lingerie?
I was gonna say lederhosen, but I didn't mean to say lederhosen.
Oh my god.
I meant to say lederhosen, okay?
All right, but one thing I do think is interesting about this is that the character development, sort of, they don't really have too much character development besides for Peter Venkman, which I believe kind of toned down his kind of persona, how he was in the first one. He doesn't really change his personality all that much, but he does when he meets up with Dana, he does try and like give her space and not try to use wordplay into getting like trying to get close to her. He does play around with the baby a lot. I thought that was cute, even though you didn't really like it that much. I understand that.
It had no reason to be in the movie.
Like
it had no reason to be in this movie.
Yeah, I think because of all the deleted scenes, they had to fill up runtime, but they didn't have any idea of what to put in, so they just put in a bunch of random stuff.
Yeah,
but I do think that they did put some thought into the character development for Peter, and it was in this movie. What was his name again? The accountant? I forgot his name.
Louis Tully.
He does seem funnier in this movie than he did in the first one.
Because he thought he was a creep.
Yeah,
he's not creeping in this one.
Yes, because he tried to break into her apartment to turn off her TV.
Yeah, in this one he's with Janine, which doesn't connect at all.
No, it doesn't. Mostly because I thought Janine was actually with Egon.
She was almost like they teased it a lot in the movie. There's a lot more deleted scenes that showed them together.
Yeah,
even one that they used.
You told me they retconned this.
Yeah, they retcon. Yeah, because in Afterlife, you see her give the keys to Egon's daughter after he passed away. So clearly they still have a relationship together. It could still be platonic, but we don't know. Sadly,
I don't think we'll ever know.
She's in a new one. They might acknowledge it.
Maybe, but who knows? Or maybe they might just like leave it as retconned as it is.
Yeah. They do want to keep his memory, like, they still want to keep him up there. Like, do you think he's going to pop up in the new one?
You mean the ghost?
Yeah.
No, I don't think so. Because the whole reason why he came back in the Afterlife was to say goodbye or to help out. And after that, he passes on. So I'm pretty sure that he's not going to come back. Or they'll just, like, honor him by showing a few clips of him.
Probably.
At least that's my thought process anyways. But, what else was I gonna say? It seems they replaced Louis Tully's like his role from the first one with the art restorator that Dana works for, which he acts even more creepy actually in this one. He's more of a creep than Louis.
It's the accent, isn't it?
I'm not sure if it's the accent. I think it's just the way he acts, but the accent is kind of weird.
He has the best line.
He says what?
He has the best line in the movie.
What's the line?
If everything you're doing is bad, I want you to know this.
That's not really. I take it back. It's not really the best line, but it is one of the few best lines. There are some pretty good lines in this one.
Have you finished watching Hazbin Hotel?
Dude, what is this? Let's go with this. Yeah, I've seen the rest of Hazbin Hotel. Why?
It's because I feel like there's a lot more lines in there that you would actually like and actually would like repeat on a daily basis.
Okay. I'm look.
But anyways, like back to this movie, I wanted to say like actually we're seeing this clip. Just as a context, we're seeing the clip of them being put into into like a
Psychiatric ward.
mental institute, and I personally found that hilarious. How they talked to the guy that worked with the mayor. That was was he the governor or was he the mayor in the last movie?
No, that's the guy that's talking to
No,
the
the guy who
doctors.
works with the mayor right now. That's running for what is he running for? Governor?
I think so. Yeah.
That he was the mayor in the first movie, and the guy who's working with him now that's doing the role of the jerk character,
Walter Peck,
who is
watered down Peck.
yeah, yeah. He he got them institutionalized into this mental hospital by saying they're crazy. And it's interesting that you told me that the doctor that he's talking to is actually Bill Murray's dad, which we joked is kind of like similar to how when you introduce your parents to your friends.
Oh yeah, saying, "Dad, you don't understand. Dude, my friends and I need to stop this crazy guy in a painting that's gonna get rid of his baby and take over the world." I'm sorry, what? You're staying inside. Don't talk to these kids anymore. Go in the house. Well, let's talk about the cameos in this movie. Because
There's cameos?
there are cameos, yeah. So
Oh, I must have missed them.
you absolutely did. So early in the movie, when you see Ray and Winston going to the kid's birthday party, one of the two kids that talks to him saying that my dad says you're full of crap. That's actually Jason Reitman, the son of Ivan Reitman, the director of the movie, and the director of Ghostbusters Afterlife. Okay, I thought you were gonna say wow or something.
Oh,
Bobby,
hang on. I was trying to get my head around that. How old is he now?
Jason Reitman?
Yeah.
Let me check. Oh, he's 46 years old.
Wow. That's actually surprising considering I've seen how young he is right here.
Yeah, but this is 1989. That's not really
I
that long
know
ago.
it's still surprising. When did the Afterlife come out?
2021.
Oh, okay. Well, the timeline matches up, but it's still surprising.
I'm looking at his filmography right now. You know he did Juno?
Juno?
Wait, no. Yeah, he did do Juno.
What's that?
Oh, it's a good movie with Elliot Page and Michael Cera about teen pregnancy. Anyway,
Was that his first film or was that like into his career?
that's the second movie.
Mm.
But
I noticed a lot of new directors. They go for very like obscure topics. We talked about this when we saw what was it, Frankenstein?
Lisa Frankenstein?
Yeah, that a lot of new directors they go for very obscure or weird topics during their first films.
Yeah, sort of so they can get after I think it's so they can find a good base ground of where they want to start and work the way around so they can figure out how they want to put their thumbprint on each movie.
Yeah. Although I would usually guess that making like such obscure films like that would probably make it harder for them to try and figure out what it is they want to do because of all the strange stuff that happens in it. It's hard to get a concentration point on where it is you're actually making an impact.
Right.
But anyway, back to the movie. What do you think your favorite part with the movie was? I know you didn't like it all that much, but was there anything that you specifically thought was pretty good?
Kinda, yeah. It's very small, but I think it's the scene where the Statue of Liberty starts walking. I like the effect. That's mainly it. Like, and also I like the song "Higher and Higher" that they use on it.
Oh,
Even then, they had to kind of ruin it by having Cheech Marin look. They reuse the same video footage of him looking at the Titanic. That's another cameo, by the way. Cheech Marin in it. He him saying,
Well, better late than never.
when you see the Titanic.
yeah. I thought it was funny.
It's funny, but then they use that same footage of him looking when you see the Statue of Liberty walking.
Mm. But like you said before, there's a lot of like cuts to these scenes. So I mean, I kind of expected that like they were going to reuse some scenes, especially kind of like out of their original context. So it's not unexpected, but it is disappointing.
Yeah. I got some other few notes I want to bring up. So, Slimer, the reason, you know why Slimer was in this movie?
No,
It's because that he was in the cartoon.
I'm kind of confused on why he's the kind of like the mascot?
Because in the cartoon, he's just basically the pet that's just around. He's just help trap ghosts, which is pretty messed up when you think about it.
He's supposed to be like what kind of ghost is he? Was he human before, or was he some kind of animal?
Okay, there is a whole wiki about Slimer. I guarantee you it's gonna tell me what Slimer is or was. He's basically just pure ectoplasm. That's basically
Oh,
what it
okay.
is.
So he's not really a ghost. He's more of a concentration of the ectoplasm that has been gathered by ghosts into this new kind of organism or some kind of spirit.
Right.
So he was never actually alive.
I like to believe so, yes.
Huh.
And also there's a deleted
The-
scene. Oh, sorry, continue.
Okay, we'll continue after that. But I was gonna say, like, does that mean that the proton beams, do they work on him? Because if he's a concentration of ectoplasm, does that mean that the proton beams work on him, or do they not? Or is he just harmless to the fact where they didn't really pay too much attention about putting him in a trap?
It worked on him because you see him go into the trap. I guess they just felt bad for him, I guess. I need to rewatch the cartoon and see if they explain it or not, because I don't think they explain it in the cartoon, but there's a bunch of episodes, so they might.
They might explain it, but it just feels like they just have him on there as comic relief.
Yeah, and I think he's also voiced by Frank Welker, who voiced Scooby-Doo. He voiced Scooby-Doo and Fred from the Scooby-Doo cartoon.
Oh, that's interesting.
Not in the movie, but in the cartoon he was. I should be more specific.
All right, and you were saying about deleted scene?
Yeah, there's a deleted scene where it was gonna have Lewis Tully try capturing Slimer all across the firehouse. That's why there's a shot where you see him just eating his lunch and running away.
Oh, I thought it was just part of the montage of just Slimer being Slimer.
You think, but no, there's a whole paragraph explanation on almost every single scene in the montage.
Wait, who was trying to catch him? Was it Tully or the Ghostbusters?
Lewis.
Okay. I guess it's kind of like it was his. I guess he used that as training to try and become a Ghostbuster.
Right. Wow, these winds are crazy right now. I wonder if it's picking up on the audio.
I don't hear anything.
All right. There's also the funniest character in this whole movie is Egon.
Oh yeah, we talked about this during the movie that he seems to have a lot more comedic moments than he did in the first movie.
He has some comedic moments in the first movie. It's just that he
No, that's what I mean. Like, he had a lot more in this movie than he did in the first movie. He was funny in the first movie, but in this one, it's like they kicked it up a bit more.
Right, and they even allude to him sleeping with the slime.
What?
Remember when they say like, "Hey, I picked up some more of that pink slime that we found, and we run a test on it. We put it in a microwave. We did everything with it." And you see Peter Venkman say, "You're not sleeping with it, are you?" And he doesn't respond at all.
Oh, then you know what? Now that brings up the question: like, how is it that this guy has a family?
Oh my god! Oh god!
That explains why we never see the mother.
Oh my god, Sergio, shut up! Shut up!
Don't tell me that you want to defend this movie.
I am defending my Ghostbusters. I don't care about the movie. I care about the characters, and I don't want them to be tainted on like that. Don't you dare!
They could use the proton packs on themselves and prove it.
Shut up! Shut up! Shut up! We're on Zoom right now. I can come over where you are and smack you on right now. I will tell you to shut up and stop you. I will get my proton pack and whack you on the head with my PKE meter.
You don't have one.
I'll buy one.
When? Next year?
No, now. Amazon's real. Amazon's the thing.
I know, but I know you can't afford it.
Funny enough, I just got my paycheck today, like a couple minutes ago.
Really?
Yeah. I got them dollar bills, son.
I don't know where that's from.
You don't need to know. You just need to know I got money. Anyway, so another thing I got to point out is we already discussed it for a while, but yeah, Winston has equal to or less than the screen time he did in the first movie.
I thought it was about equal because they mostly sprinkled it like all over the place, even though they do cut it out a lot for no apparent reason.
Right. Oh, you know what? That is a funny scene I liked. Is when they're under in the sewer in the subway and the ghost train goes by. He does give a funny line there where it goes by. He's like, "Did you catch your license plate?" He's like, "I missed it." That's pretty funny.
Yeah. Although it is kind of interesting, like how this director didn't really give him much screen time, but his son, the new director, gave him much more prominence in the story. Because in the new continuation in Afterlife, he is actually a rich entrepreneur.
Right. And so we can have way more money and he's gonna have way more of a point to be in a movie. And I'm so happy to see that recognition.
Actually, I pointed this out saying like when you first introduced me to Ghostbusters, I had saw the 2016 version before because my sisters liked it. But I questioned why it is like why Winston was in the team because I didn't see him contributing anything. Because in 2016, the reason why they had each character in it because two were mathematicians, one was an inventor, and the other one knew New York like the back of their hand. And then I asked, why was Winston in there? And you told me that is because he had the same role, but he didn't really demonstrate his knowledge of where the buildings were or anything like that. I felt like in the 2016 version, they tried to do the same thing, but tried to give each character their own prominence, but it didn't work out as well as they thought it would. And throughout the entire films, Winston didn't seem to do much besides be part of the group.
It bums me out knowing how much they could have had him in the movie, but just didn't do it.
Yeah, and it feels like they didn't really put much thought into his character. Well, I guess it's because they were originally planning for Eddie Murphy to be part of it, right?
Right.
So yeah, I get that, but still, it's kind of disappointing they didn't do much with his character.
Yeah, but now he's getting the recognition he deserves.
Yeah, I am curious though.
About what?
Like they explained that the slime was underneath the city in these kind of abandoned sewers. I'm wondering where the slime came from because they don't really explain how it is like this buildup of slime that works off a negative emotion or even like causes negative emotions like anger, like how they did when they were going to kill each other and then they had to strip off all their gear to get the slime off. They never really explained like how it is that got there.
They really don't. And I think at that point they just wanted the movie to be done.
Yeah, but then it also brings up the question, like in the first movie, they said how Gozer was somehow being ready to reawaken, but they didn't really explain how. They just said it was an ancient deity or an ancient extraterrestrial interdimensional being that somehow gained power to come over this time. Not really sure why.
Because reason, Ghostbusters. We need reason for ghosts.
Did they give a reason for Afterlife?
Yeah, but we'll get to that.
Or was it just like some ghost is starting to come over, so now we gotta get the Ghostbusters together to fight it?
They gave a really good explanation of why like ghosts are coming back again.
Oh, I guess we'll have to rewatch that and talk about that later. We'll do that in a different episode.
In 2 weeks we will.
Oh, okay. So what else is there to talk about? I feel like we covered a lot.
Let me check my notes. Some trivia. So Bill Murray wasn't happy with the film, and he went so far as to say that he was tricked into doing it by the studio executives who initially agreed to the concepts Harold Ramis created, only to turn around and demand changes when filming started. And Rick Moranis was also unhappy with the movie, calling it a disappointment. William von Humsberg, the actor who played Vigo, was not pleased when he learned all of his lines were dubbed over by Max von Sydow, and he left the premiere of the movie in anger upon seeing this. So yeah, basically everyone was really happy to be on set and were able to do this because they really had a passion to make the sequel.
It sounds like this was all modeled out by studio interference.
Absolutely, this is clearly a studio decision and not a creative decision.
Yeah.
There's also one more thing we need to talk about, Sergio.
What?
Here's a quiz.
All right, let's get it started.
What television show does Peter Venkman host? The Telekinetic Paranormal, Predictions of the Psychic, World of the Psychic, or The World of the Telekinetic?
Ah, shit, I don't know this. Let's try World of Psychic.
World of the Psychic, are you sure?
Yeah, let's try it.
All right. Ow, that's loud. Okay, I'm gonna turn it down a little bit. Sorry about that. Sorry about that, audience. That was correct, actually. And so we'll go number 2. What date does one of Peter Venkman's psychic guests believe the end of the world will come? 1st of April 2016, December 25th, 2016, February 14th, 2016, or January 1st, 2016?
I think I know this. It is 25th December 2016.
Wow, it's really loud. I didn't mean to bring it out loud. I am sorry. Really, I am off my game today.
You really
Wrong.
need to check those.
I will check it. You just keep getting answers wrong and see how that goes.
All right then.
Wrong. The answer was February 14th, 2016.
Oh, February 14th. Oh.
Where did one of Venkman's ghosts get the information that the world would end? A dream, a ghost, an alien.
Wait, did you say ghost?
Yeah.
You mean guest?
No, ghost.
No, it says right there, Peter Venkman's guest.
Oh, I said guess. Ghost is one of the options. I mean, I'll say it again because we both got tangled up in it. Question 3. Where did one of Venkman's guests get the information that the world would end? A dream, a ghost, an alien, or a vision?
All right, I know both of them said one of these. Because I know one of them said an alien, the other one said a vision. So I'm gonna go with a vision.
Sorry. Dude, shut up! We can't be swearing so much! Shut up! There are kids listening! There
You
are
wanna try that again?
kids! No! Just God.
Wait, we have kids in our audience?
Yeah! It's Ghostbusters
All right,
2, there's
kids.
always kids.
This is what you want to do if you want to become famous. You gotta do a trend, and then you gotta make that trend your whole identity. Then you just
Stop it.
abuse the hell out of it.
You're gonna make a whole new breed of influencers. Stop it. Shut up.
We're already trying to be influencers.
We don't
This
need
is basically
more.
what influencers do.
We don't need more
doing
competition.
Yes, we're doing movie reviews. This is what influencers do.
You're influencing the influencers. Don't do that. We need a competition. We don't need more competition.
Man.
God.
All right. Next question.
Question 4. What's the name of the mayor's assistant? James, Peter, Jack, or Mark?
James.
Nope. Jack.
Oh.
Who plays Janusz Poha? This is a type. You have to say it, Sergio. I'm not gonna tell you the questions.
No, I know. I just don't know his name.
I said it multiple times. Or
I didn't really pay attention.
The disrespect. Just name any name. Don't look it up. You got 5 seconds.
Not looking it up.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Sorry, buddy. It was Peter McNichol.
Peter McNichol?
Peter McNichol.
I don't remember that. I remember the name Peter, but I couldn't remember his last name.
What book did Venkman order from Ray? Magic Paths to Glory and Power? Magic Paths to Fortune and Glory? Magical Paths to Fortune and Power? Or Magical Paths to the Paranormal?
Magical Paths to Fortune and Glory.
Sorry,
Oh,
today's
come
just
on.
not your lucky day. The answer was Magical Paths to the Fortune and Power. Question number 7. What is the name of Ray's store? Raymond's Paranormal Occult? Ray's Occult? Ray's Mystical Magic? Or Ray's Magic Occult?
Raise a cult.
Finally, got it right. Good job. Question number 8. What was Egon's response to Ray's question, have you ever done this before? A, on a hamster, B, on a chimp, C, on a rat, or D, on a monkey?
On a monkey.
Where would you have gotten a monkey? It was a chimp.
That's what I remember from the movie.
No, you didn't. You didn't because you got it wrong.
Hmm.
Question number 9. Approximately how old is baby Oscar? 8 months, 6 months, 12 months, or 8.5 months?
8 months.
Correct. Good job. You got two question streak. Question number 10. What did Egon's parents not believe in? Toys, science, the paranormal, or telepathy?
Toys.
Right again. Question number 11. What was Vigo? A monkey, a powerful gladiator, a powerful magician, or a powerful king?
I thought he was a king, but they also mentioned in the movie he was a powerful magician.
You can only choose one, buddy.
A magician.
Magician? You
Yeah.
are correct. Question 12. How old was the main... No. Question 12.
Take a deep breath, man. You got this.
Question 12. How old was the man in the painting when he died? 105, 108, 110, or 115?
I don't remember this one too well, but I'm gonna gamble it and say 105.
Correct. Question 13. What names was Vigo not known as? Vigo the Cruel, Vigo the Unholy, Vigo the Torturer, or Vigo the Butcher?
Wasn't he all of this? I'm gonna go with the Vigo. Which one was it? I remember them saying all of this at one point, but Vigo the Cruel?
No, but it was. Oh my God, Sergio, you need to shut up. You need to stop with that. You know how hard it is for me to censor things?
Not that hard.
Yeah, but I have to do it.
Exactly.
I should get a censor bar on the ready just in case he starts cursing. What is this, Eddie Murphy Raw? Question 14. Where did the Ghostbusters dig the hole? 1st Avenue, 5th Avenue, 4th Avenue, or 2nd Avenue?
I don't remember this. I'm just gonna guess and say 2nd Avenue.
Wrong. 1st Avenue. They said it during the court proceedings. Question 15, our final question. When Judge Wexler passes the sentence, how much are the Ghostbusters fined? $45,000, $25,000, $15,000, or $55,000?
45.
You sure?
No,
You should probably be sure.
I'm not.
Wow, you made it really depressing, dude. Wrong. It was $25,000. And that concludes our quiz for this week. Good job, Sergio. You got a lot of them wrong, and most of them not really good. Anyway, let's wrap up our ratings for Ghostbusters 2. I'm gonna give it a 3 out of 5. It's not the first one by far, and it probably might have hindered itself by coming out too late. Then have a big gap between the first and second one, because when you have a gap like that, you expect it to be like, oh, we're just waiting for we have the right story to make, like, where I feel like it's driven by the story, not by the success of like franchise or want to make more. But it's not. If it's just trying to make another sequel, it just came out way too late on that account. What about you, Sergio? What's your rating?
Actually, my rating's about the same. About a 3. It was funny at some parts, but overall the movie is not as entertaining as the first one could be.
All right. And that concludes today's episode of Brick Wall Cinema, focusing on Ghostbusters 2. We'll see you next week to talk about Ghostbusters 2016. Oh, that's going to be a big one. Probably. Might not even be a long review. Might just be us talking. We're going to curse. We're going to talk. We're going to chat. We're going to have some fun.
I thought you didn't want us to curse.
We're not going to curse. You're going to curse, and I'm going to tell you not to curse. And we're going to improvise just like they do in the movie and do not. But unlike the movie, we're not going to go on for more than we're welcomed. Hey-o! All right. Well, I'm Chance.
I'm Sergio.
And have a cinematic day. Hey everyone, thanks for listening. And be sure to subscribe to our channel and follow us on Instagram, Facebook, X, and TikTok at Brick Wall Cinema. Have a cinematic day. Hello, I'm Sergio.
I should have gotten a whistle. Make a whistle sound effect, man.
How did I say your name first? As my name. Why would I do that? How did I mess it up? How did I mess up my first name?
Please, I want to.
We're nailing it. I had it ready. I was pumped. I'm like, let's go. I got this. 3, 2. Hello, I'm Sergio.
All right. All right. To clear everyone's confusion, I'm Sergio. That is Chance. Welcome to our podcast.
And this is Brick Wall Cinema.
Ghostbusters, what do you want?
He slimed me. scientist.
That's a big one.
We came, we saw, we kicked its ass. Dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria. Enough, I get the point.
Hey, Serge, I got a question for you.
What's that?
If there's something strange in your neighborhood, who are you going to call?
Ghostbusters. I can't take it. I can't do it with a straight face. Oh my gosh. Oh man, it's funny but awesome at the same time.
It is, especially that Fall Out Boy version. I kind of like that one.
Oh yeah, I should re-listen to that because I don't remember it too well.
We just watched a movie, dude.
No, I know, but there were so many remixes of the actual old thing of the old song into different versions that I was confused on which was which.
Even in this movie, actually, there was a lot.
Yeah, you can tell they were trying to do something, but it kind of got mixed up.
Yeah, but let's get out the basic info first. Rated PG-13 for supernatural action and some crude humor. Directed by Paul Feig, produced by Ivan Reitman and Amy Pascal. Written by Kate Dippold and Paul Feig. Released in theaters on July 15th, 2016, with a runtime of 157 minutes theatrical time. And the unrated version is 2 hours and 13 minutes of ghost busting. What? That's so long.
Did we see that one or did we see the shorter one?
We saw that version. We saw the unrated cut.
Oh, it did feel like it was longer than usual, especially some of the jokes.
Oh,
that I told you before that me and my sisters, we got the DVD version, and the DVD version was different actually, and it was shorter.
No, we're going to get into that, Sergio. Trust me, I got a whole category for that.
All right, then what should we start on first?
Still doing the basic info, dude.
Okay, then.
With a budget of $144 million, grossed $229 million worldwide. It was a huge loss for this movie, for what they expected it to be.
Well, it's pretty obvious they were banking off the fact that it was a well-known franchise from the 80s, right?
Yeah, they literally made a new company for this movie, thinking it's going to be a franchise. We got the Ghost Corps logo at the beginning. And we have a Rotten Tomatoes score of 74% for critics and 49% for audiences, which I thought was higher than I thought it would be for critics. I guess this movie wasn't really panned by critics as much as it was for audiences for that. I didn't want to see girls ghost busting.
I think it's more of the fact that critics see so many movies that see something different. It's refreshing no matter what it is. So they might think differently on a movie than the audience would.
Right. And for our cast, we got Melissa McCarthy as Dr. Abigail L. Yates, or Abby, Kristen Wiig as Dr. Aaron Gilbert, Kate McKinnon as Dr. Gillian Holtz, or Holtzman, Leslie Jones as Patricia Patty Tolan, Chris Hemsworth as Kevin Beckman, and Andy Garcia as Mayor Bradley. So we have some cameos in this movie. Should we get into that now, or do you want to bring it up later?
Let's just get into it because I think that's one of the more interesting that the Ghostbusters fans would actually enjoy about this movie.
Okay, so Bill Murray was the paranormal debunker Dr. Martin Heiss. You see him dying by ghosts thrown out the window.
Did he actually die or was he just transported to the hospital?
Oh no, he did. In the one line after he was done, Kate McKinnon, I remember she said he wasn't really Ghostbusters material.
Oh, yeah.
They were really trying to piss off any fans who are saying, well, I'll give it a chance. I know it's all girls, but I'll give it a chance. You know what? They said that. Okay, I'm out of here. Get the kids, get the popcorn, kids. We're out of here. Yeah. We got Dan Aykroyd as a taxi driver that is well versed in the ghost nomenclature. Really?
Culture?
No. Yeah. In the ghost culture. No, like it's a class 5 apparatus and saying, I ain't afraid of no ghost. He actually was also an executive producer in the movie. And we got Ernie Hudson as Patty's uncle, who works as a mortician. Can we get into it now? Because I want to bring up that whole thing with Patty and Ernie Hudson and Leslie Jones.
What?
The fact that I hate how in almost a lot of mainstream Hollywood movies, when it's a legacy sequel or just in general, like the only two main black actors or actresses in a movie, they have to be related in some way. I can't stand that, dude.
I have noticed that a lot. You said that happened in Wonka.
Yeah, the little girl, like Noodle, her uncle was Slugworth.
And that's happened in Creed. And what other
Creed,
movies?
That doesn't count. Creed doesn't count. That was a part of the story, though.
It is part of the story. Creed and Creed are related. That's his son by an affair.
Yeah, but in Wonka, yeah, it was in the story, but it's the only two black people in the movie. And one of them, people were criticizing for being black and changing his race from the original movie where he was white. That's not helping anyone's case with that. You know what I mean?
Right, but that still doesn't dismiss the fact that it's still a thing that happens even in mainstream and even good movies where the characters are somehow related somehow. Is Happy Wonka create this movie where Ernie Hudson? That's
Winston Zeddemore.
Winston Zeddemore, right. Thank you. Sorry, I forgot his name for a second. Is there any other movies like that? Because I know it's a common thread. I've noticed that myself.
We're not looking at it. We'll go to the next one. We got Sigourney Weaver as Holtzman's mentor, Dr. Rebecca Gorin. Annie Potts as the hotel receptionist, Vanessa. Al Roker as himself. He was a news reporter. And Ozzy Osbourne as himself. He was in the scene at the concert and look at the badge like, oh, I haven't seen a bat like that in years, or something like that. I don't remember what he said, but you know what I mean. You do?
Yeah, I remember that one.
Okay, you scared me for a minute there. You got really quiet. So let's get into the rundown for the movie. Let's get into the synopsis. After a botched attempt to hide her eccentric past and radical ideas about the supernatural, Columbia University's ridiculed physicist Erin Gilbert now finds herself jobless. And as if that wasn't enough, Erin must swallow her pride and bury her hatchet with dishonored former partner Abby Yates. But to pay the bills and prove that ghosts exist, the unrepentant duo of spirit hunters will need all the help they can get. As a result, tech expert Jillian Holtzman and inexperienced Patty Tolan join the cause, eager to comb New York City for evidence of the paranormal activity. However, the team is unaware that trouble's brewing. Once more, the unsuspecting Big Apple is in danger. Will the Ghostbusters live up to their reputation? Yes, the answer is yes. So let's start with first impression, Sergio.
Well, I saw this movie before lots of times, so I knew what to expect. My sisters love this movie. It is not the best thing to watch, and especially for Ghostbusters fans, it probably isn't the best thing to watch, especially if you have a deep love of the original. But to me, it was pretty funny, actually, mostly because I didn't take much of what was in there seriously, even though a lot of it was a pretty good story. As unlike the original, they actually provided some backstory to the characters.
Yeah, let me get into my first impressions. I kind of liked this movie when it came out. I'm unlike everyone else. I did like this movie when I saw it. I mean, I didn't think it was the best, clearly. I still had the first one, ride or die for that one. But it's not as bad as everyone says it is, because mainly everyone that hated it just hated the idea of all-female Ghostbusters.
Or maybe they just hated the fact that none of the original Ghostbusters were a part of this in any way. It was sort of like a reboot of Ghostbusters themselves without the blood of the actors that made the roles iconic.
Not really that, because they were planning on making a Ghostbusters 3 for the longest time, but every other time they were going to make it, one Ghostbuster would just drop out saying, I don't want to do it anymore. Even Harold Ramis dying, I might have impeded it for a long time too.
Oh, yeah.
So
wait, do you know why they were so hesitant to actually make a third one, even though the studio wanted to?
I'm not sure why. There might be a lot of reasons. There might be a lot of news interviews for that, I guess.
All right, it's because we remember in the second one, it looked like the studio interfered a lot because we could tell it wasn't at its best. There was a lot of stuff that was cut out and spliced together to try and make it work, but it just didn't seem right. Like how we said in in our review for that.
Right. They did reshoots for this movie after the trailer came out. I'm guessing they had to have. What got me was, it's not that it was all female Ghostbusters. It's that it felt like a gimmick. That's what gets me. Nothing against anyone that made this movie, because I do think there are good things in this movie. I just think that the way that they marketed this movie was not the best.
How do you mean?
Let's give a little background on the director and the cast members. Like Paul Feig, he directed a couple of episodes of The Office, and he directed Bridesmaids, two straight up comedies in sort of around the same field, where there are a lot of improv in both of them. So one of them even has Melissa McCarthy in it, Bridesmaids, and Kristen Wiig. So there's a connection there. And it might sound like a good idea to have this guy who's really good at improv, like working with actors and making great humor with it. It might seem like a match made in heaven to make a Ghostbusters movie, because the first Ghostbusters movies were heavily improvised too. It was relying heavily on the cast to make it good.
Wait, so if you were given this script and we're making this movie, how would you advertise it actually? I feel like that would be much more interesting to talk about.
That's tough. If I were to make this, all the same cast members and everything like it is, I would try making it a point. How do I put this? I
would probably make it less serious, because in the trailer, it seemed like they were going heavier into the seriousness of them actually being like professional Ghostbusters. But in the movie itself, it's much more comedic than it lets on in the trailer.
And in the trailer, that's one thing that also got me. They said 30 years ago, 4 scientists say New York. two things off the bat. One, that's not in this universe. That's explaining for us, like the audience, this RU world that they're talking about, but doesn't make sense in the universe of the movie. And two, Winston wasn't a scientist.
Oh yeah, that's right. I keep forgetting that. Also, one thing we gotta admit that this movie does kind of well is giving the proper motives for the characters to actually be doing this kind of work.
Be more specific.
Because, well, in the first movie, can you tell me why they were studying the paranormal?
No.
In this movie, they actually gave a reason. It's because the character, Aaron, right? The one with the red hair?
Wiig? Yeah, Kristen Wiig.
Yes, she saw a ghost when she was little, and it haunted her for years, and she went to therapy for it. No one believed her, except for her friend Abby. And that caused them to bond together over the paranormal experiences that they've experienced. Then they started to study it, but no one took them seriously. Therefore, they had to drop it. Abby didn't give up on it, but Erin did in order to make a life for herself as a respected scientist. And that kicks off basically the whole backstory of why they're doing this. Erin is tired of being tossed aside as not to be taken seriously as this crazy person as she has been all her life. And Abby has always been passionate about this stuff, about this work she's done. And Holtzman is, well, basically crazy, but she also loves experimenting with all this new kind of science. And Patty, well, she actually, there is not really a reason for it other than the fact that she's kind of like the same as Winston, where there's a paycheck. But she's also interested in this kind of paranormal activity that they're going about on these adventures.
I don't think she knew there was going to be money involved with it first. I think she just said, I'm joining the club.
Yeah. I think it's just because the fact that in this universe, it's put pretty forward that no one believes in these ghosts until they've actually had the paranormal experience themselves, which is why there's no montage of them actually getting ghosts. There's just this one ghost hunt that they have in this auditorium. Then they get taken in by the mayor after some agents show up at their place.
Yeah, but we need a montage. I was waiting for a montage. I know it's an 80s thing to have a montage for every movie, but this one feel like it needed one. I don't mean making the movie longer per se. I'm just saying that let's see that they're getting the hang of it. Let us see that everything's getting better, them getting more popular and everything. That to where if by the end of the movie, all New York is saying, "We heart you, Ghostbusters." All the signs. We need a reason for them to have that besides the Ghostbusters logo tearing up a building, destroying almost half of that street, and all that chaos that ensued. Because from my point of view, let's say I'm in the middle of New York and I'm like a couple of miles down from the Demon Ghost from the rock concert. I'm going to say, people saying, hey, you hear about that ghost that was over in the rock concert? Get out of here. You show me video footage? It could be fake. I don't care. Then later that day, they see a huge ghost popping out of a building, destroying that huge hotel and walking down the street, destroying all the cars, all the buildings in his way. I'm just going to see it. I'm like, oh my God, they conjured up these ghosts and I got to get out of New York. I got to get out of here. The Avengers already left saying, this, and I'm over here just stuck with nowhere to go because they broke my car. He just set up my car. I'm stuck here. I hate the Ghostbusters. They're not busting ghosts. They're creating ghosts. They're the ghost creators. That's my point of view.
You know, Chance, I feel like that's the same point of view that they had when they made the second movie.
Oh, I kind of see it now.
Yeah, that was my thought process when we saw the second movie. That's why they were so ridiculed against society. Whereas in this one, I admit it's not as good as they tried to be in there, but the effects and the story seem to be taken up a notch. The humor is kind of childish at times, and the jokes drag on long than they have to. There are some jokes that we laughed out loud to, though. Remember?
That actually gets to my next category of things we should talk about: scenes that go on forever. I have a whole bunch of these. Well, not really a whole bunch, but a couple.
All right. What's your first one?
Kristen Wiig getting fired after carrying herself down the hallway, like after she said a ghost exists and everything at the beginning of the movie.
Oh yeah, when they released the photo onto the internet and the university found out and they decided to fire her. Actually, that's something that we should probably talk about, because remember when I said that me and my sisters bought the DVD version because they liked it so much?
Yeah.
That scene actually didn't exist in the DVD version. That scene was cut short to her just carrying the boxes and saying they found some dead animals in this wall, so they're moving me out so they can renovate it, and then she just left. It was not a one whole scene where it just took like a few minutes, where it just took like 30 seconds. That's it.
It felt like an acting exercise.
Yeah.
Like, okay, we need you to walk down this hallway and needing you to make an excuse for why you're carrying a box, and don't say you're fired, but go down the hallway. Every person you see, make a joke about the box and go.
Yeah, that was probably because we watched the extended version where they tried to make it as long as possible. Whereas in the DVD version, as I said before, they cut that short to just less than a minute.
Right. Next, I got Kate McKinnon dancing to the Barges' Rhythm of the Night. That was after they got their first ghost, and they're
that was after they got the first ghost.
Yeah, it was.
Wait, was that when the fire turned on and she was playing with the fire extinguisher?
Yes.
No, that was before they caught the first ghost.
No, it wasn't.
No, they started when they caught the first ghost. They played DMX "Lose My Mind."
Really?
Yeah.
Oh wait, that's actually one of my next areas. That whole scene of them just dancing, like both of them. First off, like we get it, she's dancing. What was the point of her dancing again? What was the point of her
which one?
Getting excited, her singing the Rhythm of the Night.
That was just to show that she's just a wacky character. Basically, she's crazy like that. I'm not sure if there was any real point to the story. In the DVD version, it's about the same length, just maybe a few seconds shorter. But overall, it doesn't really serve any importance. It's just a wacky thing they do. It's like them having fun with it.
Okay. So next one I got is the ghost abstract dance sequence. It was like they were eating pizza after that long story of Kristen Wiig saying, I used to have a ghost chase after me. After that, they started saying, hey, Abby, didn't we make a dance? Oh, yeah, let's show you that dance. It took like 5 minutes of dancing.
Oh, yeah. And that scene actually got cut from the DVD version that me and my sister saw. It was not in it at all. So I was not expecting that. It was funny, though. Yeah.
Next one is Melissa McCarthy and Leslie Jones outside thinking how Kristen Wiig's boyfriend dances. It was like after the scene of them doing the abstract dance, they go out there and actually, first off, let's introduce the character that was he in the DVD version? The boyfriend? I don't remember him at all.
No, he was not in the DVD version at all.
Okay. Yeah.
I honestly don't get his point in this movie, and it kind of throws her character all out the window saying, what was the point of him?
There really was no reason. He doesn't come back later in the movie.
True. But that's what I'm thinking, that they kind of had an idea of what to go with right here, but it kind of got thrown it kind of got thrown into this mix where it just didn't fit anymore. So they cut it from the actual DVD they released.
Right, but then they just have a whole joke of him saying, how does he dance? He dances with his body. He dances with his upper body and just moves up and down. Super funny. All right.
Well, no, Patty said that she thought that he danced quote unquote sexy, whereas Abby said that he was just very stiff, like an ironing board.
Is that better?
It makes it funny.
Okay.
Mostly because that's how he is throughout the entire time he's on screen. He just looks very stiff.
Okay. Next, we also got the scene with them at the mayor's office saying, you let the cat out the bag. You can't let the cat in the bag. Got to keep the cat back in the bag. Put it back in the bag. Don't let anyone know. And like, put the cat in the bag and be over with this.
Yeah, I think that was more towards Erin's character, where she just didn't want to be recognized as this fraud again, or no one believed her as her parents did when she first told them about the old woman that was haunting her as a child. She has serious kind of abandonment kind of like issues like that. Seem like that's her character. She does not want to be thrown aside and treated as this insane person.
Right, you're right. So do you have any other notes you want to talk about for this movie before I get into my notes?
Not about this specific category, no. So let's just go on to the next category.
All right. So I got some notes for this movie. This is a whole lot. I got like a page full. So I thought it started off really good with Zach Woods giving like the stories around the house, like the random bits at the beginning of the movie.
Oh yeah, the first haunted place.
Yeah. Then I know it's like, hey, it was the same college from the first movie, Columbia University. So they kept that in there. But then they also added a new scene with the boyfriend saying like, is that what you're wearing? What was the whole joke with that? They brought it back like 3 times.
I think there's the same joke in The Heat with the same characters who played Erin and Abby, I think, where the actress who plays Erin is constantly playing these roles of very stuck up by the rules kind of person, by the book.
Oh, so uptight, like a teacher sort of person.
Yes. Basically, you think of an old-fashioned teacher, and that's how you pretty much picture Erin's character throughout the first part of this movie.
Okay. That makes more sense now. I get that.
Because of her past of being treated as this insane person or just unorthodox person, she wanted to be seen something as professional. So she went very heavy on that. That's why she's acting this sort of way. And also why people keep commenting her on her clothes like this.
Right. And we also got a new scene in this version with an old lady with a monster on her back in a hotel. Remember that?
Oh, yeah. That was weird. But it didn't make sense considering he was powering up this whole, what was it called? The Whaley lines? It was just powering the lines of paranormal activity, which made sense that it would cause some activity in the hotel. Because I was thinking about that throughout the first time when I first watched this movie, seeing as he made this big machine in here and yet no one notices any weird activity in the hotel.
Yeah. And I made a joke counter for this movie for the wonton bit. Guess how many times they said they made a joke about the wontons?
6.
I should have made you guess. It was 4.
I thought it counted 6, but I guess I was counting the amount of times they mentioned the wonton.
I know you like those wonton bits, so and I thought I can hear you laughing.
Yes, because I've actually seen these kind of things before where a delivery guy comes so late and they don't even have the right food. I'm pretty sure people have experienced that at some point where the delivery boy is just such a slacker that they don't even give you the right food and they only give you the food that you ordered. It's not even the enough.
So what's your favorite Ghostbuster in the movie? Who's your favorite?
I would probably say Patty. I find her hilarious.
Funny enough, I thought Holtzman was the best character all around the whole movie.
Oh yeah, she was interesting. I just like Patty's humor.
I like Holtzman just always being like doing her own thing. I thought it was funny.
Like random all the time. How she had a bag of chips when they first saw the first ghost.
Yes, that's my other note. The product placement in this movie is insane.
Wait, there's product placement?
Yeah.
I didn't actually notice that. What were the chips? Pringles? That was Pringles?
Yeah, those are Pringles. Because she said like, really right now? It's like, once you pop. And
is that an advertisement for Pringles?
Yeah.
I never heard that.
And later in the movie, when all the ghosts go loose, you see all Times Square. There's a poster on the side that says, "That's a big Twinkie."
Oh, yeah. I thought you said it was just a reference for the original where Egon demonstrated what the paranormal activity would be like as a Twinkie.
It could be both.
Oh, there was Sony in the background, in the far, far background. You had to pause to see it.
Well, yeah, this is a Sony movie, so there's always going to be product placement for Sony in a Sony movie.
Was there Sony product placement in Across the Spider-Verse?
Yeah, his headphones.
Oh, right.
And his phone.
I always forget that. Anyways, what were the other ones? I know that we saw a few. Oh, Crackle, was it?
Yes,
the old streaming
Crackle.
service that went downhill real fast.
Yeah, if you ever want to watch Sports Jeopardy, go to Crackle.
There was another streaming service that was advertised on there in Times Square. What was it?
No, it wasn't. They advertised Blu-ray discs.
Oh, right. That's the one I was talking about.
Which is also owned by Sony. The PKE meter looks like a Disneyland light-up toy.
We actually talked about this in the movie itself. I thought that was because they were planning to make the original franchise where kids got obsessed with it and it was everywhere by a bunch of kids who liked the franchise. I agree that it did seem like something they would sell at Disneyland. So I thought it was going to be something like that where they're going to make some merchandise out of it.
Yeah, but the problem is that when you make movies for an audience, you hope that another audience might like kids. You don't want to make it obvious that you're trying to make it for the kids. That's
How would
why
you make it less obvious that it's for kids? Because I imagine it's pretty hard to do it with a franchise like Ghostbusters, where it doesn't take itself too seriously. Because we said before, the original Ghostbusters was all about just catching ghosts. It didn't really give any history or kind of story of to why this stuff was happening, why these people are doing it. They're just doing it because of the movie.
I guess I would have made a PKE meter like a metal detector.
Kind of like in the first one?
Yeah.
But that would still be like a toy.
Yeah, but you won't think of it being like them trying to push a toy. That's the problem. With this one, it looked like they're trying to push it as a toy and not as an actual functioning product. But the first one felt like it could actually functionally work. Looked like it'll be used in a science lab, unlike the one we saw that literally lights up when it spins. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Let's talk about the Ghostbusters casting and who is supposed to play who in the movie. I know it's supposed to be their own unique Ghostbuster characters, but you can't help but connect the original versions, the original characters to the ones in the reboot.
Yeah, you can connect the dots, basically.
Yeah, so basically, here's why I thought. Peter Venkman was supposed to be Kristen Wiig, because she's like the main Ghostbuster they focus on the most sometimes. She also is reluctant to work with them, with the ghosts, because she mainly wants to focus on herself and her job and anything else that happens outside of it. I was hesitant to say their relationships like with their spouses or anything like that, because in your cut, they didn't even have a boyfriend. So I don't think it'd be good to say that. And so we got Egon Spengler as Kate McKinnon's character, obviously, because she likes working with machines and is more like the oddball of the group.
The engineer, basically.
Yeah. Ray Stantz is Melissa McCarthy's character because she's always super excited and happy and
energetic, basically.
Energetic to learn all she can about the paranormal. And that's also drag Kristen Wiig's character to go do things. And I'm not happy with this one, but Winston Zeddemore is Leslie Jones.
What about it doesn't make you happy?
I don't like it because the only reason why people might think, oh, because Winston Zeddemore, Leslie Jones, oh, it's because they're black. And
I thought it was more along the lines because of how they joined. Actually, it was later in the movie. They weren't part of the original 3. Then they came on once they have had basically their own kind of experience with what they're doing.
That too, and also they are not scientists either.
True.
But at least in Leslie Jones' case, in this one, they have a reason why she joins. Yeah, they do sort of say like he wants a paycheck, but that's not really it. This one, we see her going, like, we see her confronting a ghost. They're like, I'm going to join you so I can basically get ahead of them and learn more about them.
Yeah. And she actually contributes something, whereas in Winston's case, we weren't sure what he contributed besides being another pair of hands, right?
Right.
In this one, she's actually much more knowledgeable about New York and its history than the other girls as to why these certain places are being haunted. Like the electrified ghost at the subway was a ghost of an inmate from a prison that was above that kept being electrocuted and shot. And then there was the Wayward Manor. They didn't really talk about that one, but they did talk about the hotel on its very paranormalistic history, how a bunch of weird stuff always happened there, even before it was a hotel, just that area in general. Hattie was talking about how the hotel had a very mysterious history, even before it became a building itself, how there was an Indian tribe and settlers that were going to come there for agreement. Then the next thing, they all disappeared. It's talking about the weird activities that happened around the area, which is why it became a hot spot for all this paranormal activity, and why the villain of the story was actually trying to concentrate his machine in that area. So they all pretty much brought something to the team, whereas the original, it was probably because the fact, like you said, that they were originally planning for Eddie Murphy to play that role. So they all had a sort of role in the team. I believe they did a better job in this movie than they did in the original. Not that it was bad. It's just that they weren't able to plan it as well as they wanted to because of the casting problem.
This is a weird review for me because there are good things in it, but there are also some bad things. And yeah, it's really hard to deviate, like see which ones, where this final product lands, if that makes any sense.
That's what I was talking about earlier. There's a lot of things in here that worked. There's a lot that didn't. And I believe it was because they wanted to do something. It felt like at some parts they were playing an homage to the original, and in other parts they were making fun of it. So I think they were trying to kind of pay homage to it, but trying to stand on their own a bit. But due to certain things and how they were planning to make this movie, it just kind of went away from what the original vision of it was. And every time that happened, it just went back to a sort of comedy.
That makes sense, yeah.
What do we want to talk about next?
Let's talk about the villain. I hated him.
Is that the point?
Okay, let's be more specific. I hated how bland he was. He doesn't have any personality. He's more like, he's shy. He's really shy. He's like, don't let them hate you, buddy. I'm going to give myself some explanation on what I'm doing because people might not be listening halfway through the conversation.
Can I say something that's kind of controversial?
Trigger warning.
Okay, so it just popped into my mind right now. I'm kind of scared to say this. The villain gave me the vibes of a school shooter.
Oh my God.
Because think about it. He just sits there with a blank stare, doesn't talk to anybody, doesn't interact with anybody, doesn't make any meaningful relationships to where he is. Everyone hates him. Everyone calls him weird. Everyone calls him a freak. And next thing you know, he causes destruction on the entire place.
Oh my God, you're right. Oh man. Oh.
I mean, this is what I mean.
Oh,
it makes sense, but that makes it so much dark.
Why had to bring it to a darker level? When you say controversial, I thought you were going to say, I liked him or something like that. No, you need to bring the school shooting. Why? Why?
That's why I was trying to bring it to that, but I wasn't sure how, because it's such a dark topic to talk about. And that's why I was so scared to bring it up, because it's kind of true, but is that dark?
Oh my God. I don't want to hear you say anything about how what I say is dark ever again.
I never said anything you dark. I just said your stuff is weird.
Oh, okay. So next one I got is.
Oh wait, there was that time you talked about the Sasquatches killing a little girl and then a little boy.
I edited that out. Probably.
Oh, you did?
Probably.
We'll edit this out as well.
No context, just saying a Sasquatch killed a girl. What are they talking about?
All right. Anyway.
Yeah, back
you want to talk about Chris Hemsworth? How he was his role?
He was my next one I want to talk about. So he was my second best character in the movie.
Oh yeah, he was enjoyable. You mentioned that how he said in an interview, right, that he was intimidated to be acting alongside these professional comedians.
Yeah, because in that one scene when they first meet him, like interviewing him, honestly, it felt like an Impractical Joker's bit with him having all the images on his computer, probably not knowing when they're shooting what it was going to be, and had to explain why he chose that and that character to these three comedians.
Yeah. Throughout the first part of the movie, it's pretty obvious that he is intimidated. Like he looked awkward in a way.
Kind of like a first date.
Yeah. And it's actually really relatable considering like that's how I was during my first job. I had no idea what to do. So I was just walking around trying to figure out what it is I needed to do.
But at least you know what a phone was and how to use it.
Oh yeah. It's funny how they portrayed him as this kind of idiot.
Yeah, that was funny.
Yeah, it was.
Just him covering his eyes when he hears something loud.
And my favorite joke when he said, "Kevin, can you pick up the phone?" "I can. It's in this fish tank."
And it cuts to against the fish tank with the phone in it. Like, who thought of that? I feel like it can't be on the spot. That could have been on the spot.
Imagine if it was, because we have seen Chris Hemsworth actually do some pretty good comedic roles.
You mean like Thor?
Thor Ragnarok. It was pretty good.
Yeah, and in Vacation, he just had a huge Johnson. That was his little joke.
To be honest, Chris Hemsworth actually seems to have done a lot, and he has gotten pretty good at comedic roles.
Right. He's getting better as a comedian. Not a comedian. Okay, I'm not going to say comedian. I'm not going to say comedian.
As an overall well-balanced actor.
Yes. That's what I'm going to say.
He's done action movies. He's done very serious roles. He's done comedic roles. He's done a lot.
Right. He's well versed. The only thing now for him is to do something like do a drama, like a serious hardcore drama where he might have to change his body for it. Do the whole Christian Bale experience.
I think he might do that when he's older. How old is he right now?
Has to be like in his 30s or 40s.
Oh yeah. I keep forgetting how young he is, considering how long he's been in the industry. Also, a side note, the actor who plays the guy who's sprayed painting in the subway, is he from somewhere? Because I feel like I've seen him somewhere before.
I actually don't know, but that's a good question. I'm curious to know, actually. Hold on. No, that guy? Oh, okay. I've seen him before. His name is Nate Corddry. Corddry? We don't know how to say that. We'll just call him Nate. Yeah, Nate. He was in that Yogi Bear movie.
As who?
He was the mayor's assistant.
Oh.
Yeah, he's also on episodes of Mom, Harry's Law, and Conan O'Brien in one episode. Oh, never mind. Might have been a guest star.
He's done some pretty small roles, but he does leave an impact.
Yeah, I swear, if I didn't pay attention to him that well and looked with one eye, it looked like Justin Timberlake.
Oh yeah, I thought he would look like someone else too. But this, honestly, his whole scene was one of my favorite scenes in the whole movie, where he says, "Yeah, I saw a ghost. Can you describe it to us?" And then he starts spray painting them all.
Yeah, first of all, you don't need to describe a ghost. But first of all, that ghost he describes is not like what it was at all. First of all, it was literally just a blob. He's probably just like he saw Casper.
Yeah, and then when Patty keeps telling him to stop me, he makes that face like saying, "I'm so sorry."
Like, I have to. The ghost is making me. No, you can literally just stop.
And then he walks away, and then when she takes the spray cans away, and he says like, "Bye, Patty. I love you."
That was kind of funny though.
It was funny. Oh man.
Like, man, that's my job. What are you doing? I gotta clean it up. I'm sorry.
And then he says bye, like they're old friends. Yeah, he comes there all the time, like it's an art gallery. He's
like a bootlegger that goes to a barber shop every day. Like, hey, stop hassling my guests. Oh no, it's fine. I'll see you tomorrow. I got some Avatar copies over here. You want some bootleg DVDs? I got you. Get out of my store. Get out of my store.
Oh man.
Come with the accordion of DVDs.
Yeah.
So let's see. The Ghost Mannequins. There was once they're at the rock concert and they see the ghost mannequins, those were honestly kind of terrifying. I'll say that. They did a good job with those.
It also brought me into questioning what do you find terrifying, actually? Because we talked about other horror movies, how they terrify me, because the paranormal aspect of it.
But what terrifies you specifically? Because that surprised me how you got terrified by these mannequins.
Let's say, I'm not saying, I wasn't terrified. I was saying that they pulled off that scene. It looked eerie.
Oh, okay. But what would you consider terrifying, basically? Because we've talked about the other horror movies, how you find them funny and you don't really take them that seriously. But this one, you said they got it right, and it did look like it could be scary. So what actually would you consider terrifying?
The silence. I didn't think it was funny. I didn't think it was scary because they made a joke out of it. And that's usually what I would do. Because when she sees a mannequin saying, nope, room of terrors, walking out of there, that's basically what I would do. And so I already was laughing like, okay, they're not gonna take this seriously. They're not gonna be scary. And you see one of the movie like, oh my god, run.
So basically, like when they make the right call, but they still get into the danger anyway.
Yes, that's kind of funny. I like that.
That is funny, but also terrifying at the same time.
Yeah, it's because like they're smart. They didn't go in there thinking, what's in here? I have to get my cat. She's stuck in there. No, the cat. Leave. The cat's with the ghost now.
Oh yeah.
And that was a reference to Alien and, you know, basically all those other horror movies, like the reason why they had to go do dumb things.
That's just every horror movie ever.
Yeah.
Except for the newer ones by Peele, was it?
Jordan Peele?
Yeah. Or was it the other guy? I forget who directs and who acts.
Michael Key acts. Jordan Peele directs.
Oh, okay. Jordan Peele. Yeah.
So there's another thing I wanted to point out they never really focus on at all, which I think would have been a cool idea. There's this one shot where after Abby gets possessed and then the ghost goes into Chris Hemsworth, he rides a motorcycle with the Ghostbusters logo and a little proton pack on the back of it. We could have had a car chase, or not really a car chase, but a chase on the road with a ghost
a scene,
on a motorcycle.
A better montage or scene of him actually riding the motorcycle.
Yes. That could have been cool. We have that in a new Ghostbusters Frozen Empire trailer. Like they see him chasing a ghost and getting a ghost trap on a drone to capture in the air. That's a cool idea. I love when they use gadgets to enhance things that we know personally that we couldn't really do back in the 80s because of budget reasons.
And technology wise.
Yes. That's why one of my favorite scenes in this movie was when they're in Times Square and you see Kate McKinnon reminding herself that she has gadgets and pulls out the little proton guns and starts shooting all the ghosts. I love that scene. It was cool. Even the orchestral version of the Ghostbusters theme song was awesome.
Oh, you like that?
I like I'm a sucker for when they do orchestral versions of old TV show cartoons or theme songs. Remember in Spider-Man Homecoming? During the Marvel logo, it had like the da-na-na, da-na-na,
the orchestral version of the original Spider-Man theme song. All right. So you like the gadgets that they had in this movie?
Yeah. Well, that's what I would want from a reboot or a sequel to Ghostbusters. I would like to see them expand on the things that we already learned from it. And that's the best way to do it, I would think. Because all technology, people want to get toys. That's not really saying, hey, get this toy. It's saying, hey, that's a cool idea. Let's just make a toy out of that cool idea instead of thinking around it saying, how do we make a cool toy and make it work for this movie? They didn't do that.
But that also brings into probably an aspect that we should probably address. The effects in this movie are actually pretty great.
They are really good. I remember I rented this movie on Redbox when it came out. I want to watch it again. And I noticed that every time there was a ghost effect or like a proton pack being used, the effects would go off the border of the screen. Like the film is at a 2x35 widescreen anamorphic screen format. Yes. And there's 2 black bars on top and bottom. Whenever they use like the special effects, it will go outside of the border. Did it have that for your showing? For your DVD?
From what I remember, it didn't usually. It had the same aspect ratio, but it wasn't towards the end when they had that big ghost battle with the guy on stilts that they started using the 3D aspect of it when the guy on the stilts was pointing outside the screen and some of the sludge from the ghosts would come popping out a bit. Mostly because I believe they were expecting some of this to have a 3D aspect of it when they went into theaters. And they used some of that screens for that.
They marketed this as it being an IMAX 3D when it comes out. That was one of the big selling points. And yeah, that's mainly all my... Oh, wait, no, I have one more. There's one more joke I loved. It was after the ghost went loose and you see them running rampant around the town. We cut to this bar and these guys talking and you look right next to the other guy and you see
it's the dean of the university that fired Aaron.
No, it's not that scene. It's the scene where you see the ghost with the Boston Red Sox jersey on, yelling at the guy saying, "Yankees suck." Now,
I could have sworn that was the dean from the university.
Really?
That fired Aaron, the first one, the old guy from the first part of the movie where Aaron was working.
No, that's not him.
Oh, he sounds just like him.
One other thing I want to point out before we get into our ratings and stuff like that. What do you think of the Ghostbusters ghost being the main big monster at the end?
It was actually pretty interesting to see it animated.
I like 2D animated?
Yeah, 2D animated. It was really interesting to see it, as I've always seen it as just a logo, and they're usually when the movie starts, it's animated into the logo, and to see it as a character in a movie, that was pretty interesting. I felt like they could have gone somewhere with that if they did it. They did it differently in a different film.
I like that idea. I like that too, but I feel like they didn't push through with the idea of that per se, because the whole time watching it, it looked like Oogie Boogie, sort of. Like a big Oogie Boogie, because it's a ghost.
From the Nightmare Before Christmas, just to clarify for the audience.
Yes, thank you, Sergio. Like, he's destroying things. He looks like he's all made out of
a sack.
Like a sack. And that's not really what I envisioned the Ghostbusters logo to look like. Like, when they made the Ghostbusters logo for the first movie, they based it off of Casper.
What would that look like if they actually made it 3D? I know there's been 3D movies of Casper, but they've been very low budget.
No,
so I'm wondering if they actually made it very high budget.
They did.
Would it be like, huh?
They did.
Oh yeah, right. The live action version.
Oh my God, yes. You scared me for a minute there.
I completely forgot about that. But still, though, I think the effects for that one were very low considering nowadays what we are able to do with the effects.
That was actually
so I'm wondering what they would be able to do if they actually did that with the effects that we could put into it today.
Funny enough, there is a cameo in that Casper movie. I do remember that. There's a point where they're trying to go exercise a house, and you see Dan Aykroyd running out in his Ghostbuster outfit saying, "Who are you gonna call? Someone else." And runs away. Great segue, Chance. Thank you. I really appreciate that. And have you gotten thin? Yeah, I've been working out a lot more, man. And your voice got really deeper too. Oh, you noticed?
What are you doing?
What? What?
What was all that about?
What were you talking about?
Oh yeah.
Don't worry about it.
Anyways, what was the next category we had to go to? Or was that the last one?
No, we got trivia to go to, man.
All right. Am I going to be doing it again, or are we just going to talk about the trivia?
And we have one more category after this.
Okay.
Paul Feig and the cast signed off for 2 more films, and the film was reportedly planned to kickstart a Ghostbusters cinematic universe, but the film's mediocre box office results put an end to those plans. Rather tellingly, Ghostbusters Afterlife ignores this film entirely and started becoming a distant sequel to Ghostbusters 2 instead.
I have a question. Do you think that the failure of this film inspired the director's son to try and make a faithful and appreciative kind of sequel to the original franchise?
I like to think so. Because with all his faults, they still put out a pretty good movie, in my opinion. I mean, this is not my first time watching it, so clearly they're doing something right if I want to watch it again.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, I'm also reviewing it for a podcast.
True.
And do you know that this film was denied permission to be screened in China, with it generally being assumed that the country's cultural opposition to depicting ghosts as malevolent entities, likely keeping it from seeing the light of day over there?
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
Maybe that might have been a big reason why this movie bombed too.
Yeah.
Because that market over there, they love sci-fi. They love like big budget sci-fi movies.
Oh yeah, they do.
That's the main reason why we have so many Transformers movies.
Oh yeah. Also, and mostly because the fact that over there the culture is vastly different than ours. So things that we might see in normal here today, such as religion or entities from the afterlife being malevolent as normal, they see it in a much different way, where their culture is much about seeing that things from the afterlife are not always malevolent, and that could be seen as propaganda to them, which they might take offense to.
Yeah, so now thinking about it, I guess they don't have any Ghostbusters media out there.
Yeah.
Can they even play the song?
To be honest, I'm not sure. Their country as it is pretty authoritarian. There's not much freedom for that kind of thing, but I don't think so.
What about Casper? They can't even have Casper?
No, I think they actually might be able to do Casper, because Casper is not depicted as a malevolent entity. Instead, as just a friendly ghost.
Oh, all right. Well, that's all the trivia we have today. It was pretty short because I didn't really want to make it all just hating on the movie. I know there's a lot of negative stuff about this movie.
Yeah.
And you know what time it is, Sergio?
No, what time is it?
It's time to get out your notepad, get your pencil. It's time to take a pop quiz. You have 10 questions today, Sergio. You ready?
Oh no. It's like high school all over again.
No talking during the test, Sergio. I see you looking over Steve's shoulder.
All right, so what's the first question?
Give me your phone and Apple Watch so I know you won't be cheating.
I don't have Apple.
Oh, you're an Android. I'm so okay.
The
It's not going to make it in. Don't worry about it. All right. So, question 1. What is the name of the first ghost the girls encounter? A. Elizabeth Aldridge. B. Abigail Aldridge. C. Victoria Aldridge. Or D. Gertrude Aldridge.
Jeez, this makes it so much harder. I'm gonna go with Gertrude.
Correct. Question 2. What is the name of the Ghostbuster who worked for Columbia University? Aaron Gilbert, Julian Holtzman, Abby Yates, or Patty Tolan?
Aaron Gilbert.
Correct. Question 3. Which Ghostbuster co-wrote the book Ghosts from Our Past, both literally and figuratively? The Study of the Paranormal with Aaron. Julian Holtzman, Abby Yates, Patty Tobin, or Kevin Beckman?
I'm sorry. We just spent this whole time talking about how Kevin's just an idiot. All right, so Abby Yates.
Is that your final answer?
Yes.
Correct. Question 4. Which Ghostbuster builds all their Ghostbusting equipment? Abby Yates, Patty Tolan, Rowan North, or Julian Holtzman?
Julian Holtzman.
You sure it's not famous Ghostbuster Rowan North?
I'm sure.
All right. Correct. Question 5. Which Ghostbuster worked for the MTA? Kevin Beckman, Rowan North, Patty Tolan, or Abby Yates?
Oh man, this one's so hard.
Knowing that all these Ghostbusters are female, yeah, we have 2 dudes in here. It should probably be easy for you to figure this one out.
I mean, Kevin does sort of become a Ghostbuster at the
No,
end.
he doesn't.
A self-proclaimed Ghostbuster, although he does work there as a secretary. He doesn't really do much though. I'm gonna go with Patty.
Correct. Question 6. Kevin Beckman is the only applicant for the receptionist job. True, or false?
True. Sorry, I jumped the gun a little on there.
Yeah.
But yeah, true. Final answer.
Correct. Question 7. Which actor from the original Ghostbusters does not make a cameo in this movie? Rick Moranis, Dan Aykroyd, Bill Murray, or Sigourney Weaver?
I forget their names. Oh shoot. I'm gonna go with Dan.
Dan?
Yeah.
Dan.
I don't remember him being mentioned.
Wrong. He was... Dude, God, you gotta shut the up sometimes, all right? This is a kid's show.
I just said shoot.
Yeah, sure you did. Dan Aykroyd was a cab driver saying, I ain't afraid of ghosts. Question 8. What is the name of the man who is trying to break the barriers to set the ghosts free? You have to tell me this one, Sergio. There's no answers for this one. There's no multiple choice for this one.
Rowan North.
Is that your final answer?
Yes.
Correct. Question 9. What form does Rowan take to destroy the Ghostbusters? Slimer, Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, the ghost from their logo, or Gozer?
The ghost from their logo.
These are getting too easy. Correct. And question 10, the final question for today. During the scene at the end of the movie, what does Patty hear captured on the EVP, causing her to ask, what's blank? Complete the quote. Zool, Gozer, Slimer, or Keymaster?
Zool.
Yeah, you got it right, dude. You did a good job. You got them all right. No, except one. I'm sorry, you failed. You're not gonna. You have to repeat this class, dude.
Oh no.
Let's start with our rating, Sergio. Let's say what we should rate Ghostbusters 2016.
All right. So I feel like this movie for me is solidly at a 3. There's some good parts. There's some not so good parts, but it is a very enjoyable movie if you don't take it too seriously or as a serious kind of continuation of the Ghostbusters franchise.
Okay. That's why I got 2. I got 3 out of 5 from me because although there are good things in this movie, there are some other things that feel like they drag along for a long time. And a lot of non sequiturs in the movie. But then again, there are also cool concepts that they think they should have expanded on more. But then again, it would have been a lot more longer. And we already have a 2-hour and 13-minute Ghostbusters movie.
I felt like they could have cut out some of the jokes and just expanded more on the new concepts they were putting into the movie.
Yeah, and it feels like they were setting up too many things, like saying, don't worry, we'll get back to that later. Or don't worry, we have another movie in store for this one.
Yeah, they were planning to make make sequels, so it makes sense that a lot of stuff wasn't expanded upon.
Right. And here's my idea. I'm gonna say this out because we're all done here, but I want to say this idea. Ghostbusters International. We have multiple Ghostbuster buildings all over the nation or worldwide, and we have a different movie in different locations.
I like how they did with Man in Black International, but just kind of better.
Ah, son of a! I forgot that exists.
But that is a pretty interesting idea. However, that would probably also work as a series. They probably could do that actually as a series where they recruit more people, but as time goes on, they meet with challenges of people not believing them and the same problem coming up again of whether or not ghosts actually exist and them getting caught up in lawsuits and legalizations, that kind of thing, how they did in the second movie.
Right. I think we should watch some of the cartoons that we have for Ghostbusters before we get into the movies, like into the Frozen Empire, because they clearly aren't basing it off of the cartoon. They already acknowledge that they did. So if you listen to my reaction to the first trailer way back in December, I predicted it. I was right. I like to toot my own horn, but Sergio, can you toot my own horn for me? Can you toot my horn?
I have no idea how to do that.
Just say toot toot. I can't say it because I need to be humble. I need to be humble as
I thought you were just gonna put a sound effect of like the little toot toot they have in Zootopia.
No.
Or like a train sound effect.
No. Can you just say toot toot for our audience?
Toot toot.
Well, sound like you're on gunpoint.
I mean, you kind of put me on the spot. I wasn't expecting that. What do you expect from me, man?
Just say toot toot. That's all I expected of you. I told you what I wanted. I asked you to toot my own horn, and you're like, I don't know. I don't want to do that. I don't want to. I don't want to toot. Like, that's all I asked. All I asked.
How do you toot someone else's horn?
Easy. Just say toot toot.
That's not how you do it.
It is how you do it.
No, it's just a metaphor for bragging.
Yes.
So you want me to brag for you?
Yes.
But I don't remember what you said back then. All I remember is that you making the prediction that they're going to have that kind of ghost.
I said they'll have the prediction of making the movie having a villain based off of the cartoon.
Oh, I don't remember that.
Oh my God. Well, you know what? You might not have been there. I might have been with Donnie.
Oh yeah.
This goes to show that you don't listen to the previous episodes, Sergio. How the audacity.
You do know I'm still catching up on the other ones, right? I'm on episode 8.
I'm hurt. I'm so hurt.
Does that mean you don't want me on the podcast anymore?
No. You're good. You got tenure, dude. You're fine. This is at Columbia University where we just get rid of our scientists are up. So yeah, let's wrap it up. Me and Sergio both gave it a 3 out of 5. And that wraps up today's episode of Brick Wall Cinema. I'm Chance.
I'm Sergio.
And have a cinematic day. Hey everyone. Thanks for listening. And be sure to subscribe to our channel and follow us on Instagram, Facebook, X, and TikTok at Brick Wall Cinema. Have a cinematic day. Hello, I'm Chance the Riot.
And I'm Sergio.
And this is Brick Wall Cinema.
Ghostbusters, what do you want?
He slimed me.
We're ready to believe you.
Back off, man. I'm a scientist.
That's a big one.
We came, we saw, we kicked its ass. Dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria. Enough, I get the point.
Welcome back to Ghostbusters Month, everyone. And for our 4th installment, we are talking about Ghostbusters Afterlife, the 3rd movie in the canonical Ghostbusters franchise. We don't talk about that 2016 one anymore. That doesn't exist in this universe. So let's get out the basic info right now. Rated PG-13 for supernatural action and suggestive references. Directed by Jason Reitman. Produced by Ivan Reitman. Written by Gil Keenan and Jason Reitman. And release date November 19th in 2021. And had a runtime of 2 hours and 4 minutes. A budget of $75 million. And in the US and Canada, it grossed $129 million, pretty good. And it grossed worldwide of $204 million. Safe to say this was a huge success for everyone involved. And the Rotten Tomato score is 64% for critics and 94% for audiences. I'm not going to spoil it now, but I am teetering towards one or the other. I'm not going to say it yet. I'm going to keep it on the down low until now. And we have, let's get a synopsis for this. Two siblings, Trevor, played by Finn Wolfhard, and Phoebe, played by McKenna Grace, moved to a small town of Somerville, Oklahoma, with their new single mother, Callie, played by Carrie Coon, after she inherits property from her late grandfather. When the town experiences a rash of unexplained earthquakes, the kids, with the help of their science teacher, Mr. Gruberson, played by Paul Rudd, discover their family's link to the original Ghostbusters and the secret legacy their father left behind. So, let's get off our first impression, Sergio. What were your thoughts after seeing Ghostbusters Afterlife for the first time?
First time watching it?
Yeah.
I thought it was great. I really liked, well, actually, first time watching it, I questioned a lot because I don't think I actually watched the original two before this one. I believe the first time I watched it, this was the first Ghostbusters Ghostbusters franchise I watched, and I didn't know much about the characters, but besides what you already explained. I do have several questions concerning about certain scenes, but I think we'll get into that later. I loved it a lot. The effects, the writing, and the character development were all pretty good. I don't really have any gripes about this one. Overall, it was very well done, and I loved seeing it on the screen. It was a great movie, and I love watching the story unfold.
So, I remember the day. It was on a Tuesday, and my godfather came to town. And shout out to my godfather. I don't know if he wants me to say his name out there, but I'm just gonna. He knows who he is if he's listening. He introduced me to a bunch of old cartoons and movies from like for the 80s and everything like that. Like I remember, I still have a copy of DuckTales that he gave to me, like the old 80s cartoon. And he just always introduced them to me, and he introduced me to Ghostbusters too. So when he came to town, we're like, hey, there's a new Ghostbusters movie that came out. We want to go see it. And his mistake, he let me choose the showtime that we go, the format we saw the movie in the theaters. And me not being familiar with 40X at the time, dragged them to go see it with seats that shook back and forth with bubbles going everywhere, fire, heat everywhere, and smoke, physics, water spraying your face, the whole shabam. It was so fun though. But I understand why he doesn't want to go again for the new movie. But all that aside, the movie, when I saw the movie the first time, I cried because it was beautiful, man. I loved it. Some people might say it's poor taste. I think the exact opposite, but we'll get into that later. Let's talk about the characters. Who was your favorite character of the movie, Sergio?
I believe it's either, was it Greg, the one the teacher?
You mean Gary Gruberson, played by Paul Rudd?
Yeah. It was either him or Podcast I love the best.
Why Podcast? I'm curious.
I can't exactly say why. I just found it charismatic to have this character that was just interested in what was going on, but also kind of realistic. He was charismatic to me enough that I found a lot of the stuff he was in humorous. I believe the scene that I loved most about him, most when he was in, was when he was walking with Phoebe back to her house, and when they stopped and he found out that she was living at the dirt farm where her grandfather passed away. He put out his camera and started recording her, and she was like, "Why are you recording me? Just in case you get pulled up and get by a dark entity." She was like, "Oh, okay." They just started walking away. I just found that funny how you were still recording it. It just cuts off in the middle of it.
I just love that
I
he's
found
like,
that hilarious.
I love he's like, so you're just gonna walk in there, huh? And he just pulls out his phone. Yeah. For me, I'm gonna go with Phoebe. I know she had to be monotone the whole movie, but those are my favorite type of characters, the ones that are able to convey emotion without actually visually showing it. Like, you can see what's going on in their head as it goes along. She reminded me of, not in the same vein, but like Sheldon Cooper from The Big Bang Theory, or like Abed from Community, to where they're not really expressive like normal people would be. regular
I would
people
say
would be.
Sheldon's expressive. I've actually watched some of Big Bang Theory, and he does do expressive stuff, just not as often as the other characters.
Right. I take that back then. But you see where I'm going with this, right?
Yeah, when they have more subtext to them, and you get to read more into the character rather than just having it be all up in your face, as usually what most characters do.
Right. Let's talk about the other characters though too. Trevor, what do you think about him?
The one from Stranger Things, right?
Yeah, Finn Wolfhard.
Oh,
Is that it?
no, I'm not sure what to say about him because I didn't pay too much attention to his character because he is not much different from an average teenager. But I did see it interesting how he was able to fix up a car. How old is he supposed to be? He's 15, right?
Yes.
I found it pretty impressive how he was able to fix up the car at his age.
I didn't even think about
But
that.
yeah, other than that, we do not see most of him besides him trying to, oh, what's the word I'm looking for?
Riz up the girl. Riz up Lucky.
Oh yeah, that's his entire goal, which wasn't all that interesting. So he kind of blended into the background for me. Even for the scenes that he was in, he didn't really do much.
That's weird because like our marketing for the movie, they had like Finn Wolfhard is gonna be the new Ghostbuster movie. Like he's gonna be a big main character, but he's not really a main character. He's more like a secondary main character in a way.
He's part of the subplot that just gives more to the story of the main plot.
I guess so. Like he's in the movie the whole time.
And the only real contribution he gives to the main story was when the ghost comes out of that well that they're all at.
But then, even then, he wasn't really doing anything there. He was just talking to Lucky.
Yeah, that's what I meant by the fact that he doesn't do much besides be a regular teenager trying to talk to a girl.
Okay, so we already talked about podcasts and Luck. Let's talk about Lucky. What do you think of her?
To be honest, I noticed her even less than Trevor, mostly because there was little to her until the end, until the final act, in which she acts as part of the team when she puts on a proton pack and helps them defeat the ghost. Other than that, that's about it.
Do you think she has Winston syndrome in this too?
No, because unlike Winston, she wasn't part of the group until much later.
Around the same time period, though, time in the movie too. Like I would say, the point that she actually makes a big part in the movie is in the jail once they hit jail after they're trying to bust Muncher after destroying the whole town.
Yeah.
And even then, it was like 45 minutes into the movie, around the same time that Winston was introduced in the first movie, and around the same time when they got sued and where he was in Ghostbusters 2.
Do you think it's going to be a common thing where they keep doing this with the character?
I really don't want it to be. I don't want that at all.
Well, yeah. For the first movie, it didn't really make much sense besides the fact that he was a last-minute cast. Where in this one, it makes more sense because she's not really part of the team.
Yeah, but also then
until the final act.
Yeah, but also in this movie, they have another thing I don't like in other major Hollywood movies lately. They have the only other black person in the town be her father. I know it's part of the story, but did it really need to be part of the story?
I cannot answer that. But
why not?
Wait, where are they? They're in Kansas, right?
Oklahoma.
Do you think they could have thought about the population demographic over there? Is that why they did this? Or I'm not sure if they did that much research into it. I'm not sure if they do that for movies. I was thinking something along those lines, but I know that's not usually what they do for movies, so that throws my whole theory out of there. But I think that they had her dad be some importance because they already introduced her into the whole thing, and they wanted them to have an interaction with her, so they made her her dad is a police chief so that she could be in there messing with them.
Also, then again, that scene with them talking, did it seem forced to you when they come across the sheriff and he's like, we're like, hey, can we get our one phone call? I was like, yeah, sure. Who are you gonna call?
To me, no, it did not seem forced.
Really?
No.
I thought like they're building it up so long. I paused it when we watched it because I'm like, Sergio, what do you think they're gonna say at this one moment? Because it took so long for him to say it. It was building it up. Like, what's he gonna say? Is he gonna say it? He's gonna say it. He's gonna say, "Busted makes me feel good." No, he's gonna say. What if he just said that out of nowhere?
Technically, they do that in a new movie.
Oh, right. You're right. I didn't even think about. I forgot about that. It was in the trailer, but it might not be in the movie. And let's talk about Gary Gruberson, Paul Rudd's character.
To be honest, it didn't really feel like a character. It just felt like what was his name again? I'm sorry, I forgot his name.
Gary Gruberson.
The actors.
Oh, Paul Rudd.
Paul Rudd. It felt more like Paul Rudd was actually just playing Paul Rudd.
Do you think that's why he got him as a role?
I think so. because even though his role wasn't as essential to the plot, or not until later, he kind of stole the spotlight as soon as every time he came onto screen, for me anyway.
Because he got to have all the funny lines.
True, but you gotta admit that Paul Rudd does do pretty good deliveries of comedic lines.
Yeah, he's great. But it's like, it's easy to make someone funny if they have the good lines to back up their good acting too. So I will say his most iconic scene is the scene of him at Walmart getting mauled by the Zool dogs.
I just remember when he sees the dog, and then he notices him, and as soon as he starts running, he throws the can of ice. He throws a bucket of ice cream.
You know what flavor ice cream that was?
It was Baskin Robbins, but I do not remember the flavor.
I don't remember the flavor either. But that gets me on to my next topic, the product placement in this movie. I feel like this is gonna be a common trend, starting with this 2016 Ghostbusters movie. Actually, no, all the Ghostbusters movies have product placement in them. From the top of my head, with Ghostbusters 1, Twinkies. In the second one, they have a whole scene of them talking about Jello and saying, "Hey, this place looks like a big Jello mold. What's wrong with Jello? It's really good. It's really good. Good to eat a lot of it. You never get full with Jello. Like, we get the point. You like Jello." In the 2016 Ghostbusters movie, we had all Times Square advertising Sony products, and Twinkies and Pringles with Kate McKinnon eating in and saying, "What's the pop?" And in this one, I got a whole list of them. You ready for this?
Go ahead.
So YouTube gets the advertisement in this when she's looking at the old commercial from the first movie. Hostess Twinkies were inside of the glove compartment of the Ecto-1. Phoebe looks into Egon Spengler's old uniform. She sees a Crunch bar in there. And as we mentioned, the Paul Rudd has handles Baskin Robbins in his hand. Might even be a nod to Ant-Man. Walmart, obviously.
Oh, right. You mentioned also that Walmart was a product placement because it just had the whole story of him running into the store, right?
Yeah, and all the shelves are full. Ain't no Walmart looking that full.
Actually, most Walmarts look like that.
Sergio, I know you work for them, but be honest. Come on. Give us the deets. We got to know what happens behind a Walmart. What happens inside of a Walmart? Behind the walls of the Walmart.
What do you mean?
In between the walls of the Walmart. What's going on?
I'm confused. There's just people working.
That's why I meant. You think I missed anything else?
No, I wasn't sure what you were trying to ask because you kept asking what's behind the walls, what's between the walls. I wasn't sure if you were asking about what's happening in the back where people are shipping the stuff off the trucks and putting them onto the shelves, or if you're asking what's happening when people aren't around.
How many Walmarts can a Walmart mall before a wall can have too many malls?
What are you talking about?
Never mind. I already messed up the joke. Yeah, what do you think about the product placement in this?
To be honest, most product placements in movies I've seen are pretty subtle, and you have pointed out about some that I have missed that aren't actually that subtle. So for me, I didn't notice it all that much until you pointed most of them out.
Okay, but back to the cast. We have all the Ghostbusters come back for this, even though deceased ones.
Just the deceased one, right?
Huh?
Just the one, right?
Yes, Harold Ramis.
Yeah, I remember that one. You told me how much that was an emotional touch for you because of when he passed away before this movie became in the making, right?
Yes. So we got Janine Melnitz, who played Annie Potts, Winston Zeddemore as Ernie Hudson, Raymond Stantz as Dan Aykroyd, Peter Venkman as Bill Murray, and Dana Barrett as Sigourney Weaver back for this. What do you think of their return for this? What were your thoughts on this?
It felt kind of anticlimactic because they were being built up as this big reveal and this big victory kind of thing where they came in, but then it just went anticlimactic because it was the whole thing where the three of them are not enough to overpower it. They just kind of get tossed back onto the car, and it just felt anticlimactic until the end when they were actually able to do it when Egon came back.
Yeah, I think they also had that scene where they have to have in every single Legacy sequel where they have the pause once you see something from the first movie, like, whoa, yeah, your Spy-Way No Way Home moments. What I'm talking about. Your in-game Avengers Assemble moments.
You mean those long pauses where the camera pans onto a character or pans slowly to this character to emphasize that this is a big moment in the movie?
Yes. We also have some couple of cameos in this movie too, like J.K. Simmons as Ivo Shandor. Why was he in this movie?
To be honest, I'm not really sure. They just put him there, and it was gonna be this whole thing, but they just killed him off right away as soon as he came in.
And a brutal death too. Like he was split in half. When we saw the whole thing, like, oh my god.
I think they wanted to have him for a bigger role, but they couldn't afford it or something. Had him for a small part and then just killed him off.
Probably. He does do a couple of small roles in that every now and then. Even in Across the Spider-Verse, he just did a couple of lines for J. Jonah Jameson. We got Stella Aykroyd as Deputy Medjuk. She was the cop that was making fun of Phoebe for being Dirt Farmer's granddaughter.
Oh, yeah.
We also have Bokeem Woodbine as Sheriff Domingo, the who you gonna call guy. It felt weird for him to be in this movie too. Like he's in big movies too. Like he's in Spider-Man Homecoming. He was the Shocker. I think the second version of Shocker, the one after he killed the other one, was like, oh.
I thought it was Jamie. I thought it was Jamie Foxx.
You're thinking of Electro.
Okay, then who you're referencing?
The Shocker from Homecoming.
I gotta rewatch that because I don't remember Shocker being in that movie.
Yeah, he was in a movie. It was during the prom scene.
Yeah, I gotta rewatch it because I do not remember much from that movie, besides just Tom Holland being Spider-Man. That's about it. I gotta rewatch it. It's been such a long time since I watched any of the Spider-Man films besides the Sam Raimi films.
Well, currently it's on Disney Plus.
Oh yeah, I found out about that. I'll watch that later though.
Back to Ghostbusters. This movie had a couple titles in different countries I thought might be cool to point out. So in Austria, they called it Ghostbusters Legacy.
That actually sounds like a pretty good idea for a film title.
Yeah, it does, and it was for Tron Legacy. Maybe I think that's why they changed it.
But Superman Legacy is also doing that.
No, they changed it. It's now it's just gonna be called Superman. In the United States, when they were working on the movie, the fake working title for it was Rust City.
Was that so that it wouldn't, if it got leaked, no one would connect it back to what it was really was?
I think so.
Because I know they did that for Star Wars.
Also for this one, I think it makes sense. It make it a lot easier because there's not really much ghostbusting that happens in this movie. And even if it did, it's in a small town.
Yeah, but it's kind of the same thing as they did in the first movie where they don't really go anywhere besides New York City.
Yeah,
or
but
was it New York or was it Boston?
It was New York. Why do you think Boston?
I don't know. I get the two confused a lot, mostly because the accents that people do for those two places sound the same to me.
Okay. And in Cambodia, we have Ghostbusters Rise.
That actually sounds pretty cool.
I thought it was pretty lame, kind of, because
To me,
what's rising?
To me, it sounded the same way as Rise of TMNT.
Yeah, but there's nothing after Rise. It's just Ghostbusters Rise.
I think it was just the reference that the franchise is getting back on its feet again or something like that. Or maybe it could be something where the spelling is supposed to be backwards or something like that. Because I know in some languages and when you actually say it, it says it's supposed to mean the other way around. But when you translate it, it sounds out of order.
So it's like Rise Ghostbusters.
Yeah, or something like that. I'm not really sure.
Okay. The one in Canada, their working title in English was Bust City. Shut up. You immature. You're so immature, Sergio.
What? No, I was thinking it was something like Bus where they're always getting arrested.
Oh.
I know you thought about that. I know you thought I was thinking about the other thing. I didn't think about that, but at first I was like busting. Like I just kept thinking about the song, and then I thought about getting busted as being arrested.
Look
then
where
I
your
thought
mind.
about the other. Huh?
Look where your mind went to. Busting as in them getting busted all the time in the city. Meanwhile, I just thought of, let's get into our trivia. So when it was time to make a box set for the new Ghostbusters movies, like for 1, 2, and Afterlife, they didn't even think of putting the reboot one in there because they didn't think it had any fans. But when people started saying, hey, I kind of like it, they said, you know what, fine, I'll put a digital copy in there. You happy now?
Okay. Is that it?
For that, yes. No interesting, no thought about that?
No, because we said before that the movie wasn't all that bad, but there was nothing really interesting in it either besides what was already in the Ghostbusters franchise.
But the thought that they were so easily dismissing the movie, saying, no one even likes that, we're not even going to put that on the box set for Ghostbusters, that's kind of nasty.
Haven't other studios done that with other movies that they are not proud of?
I mean, not really. I mean, they did before, but they're checking themselves now. I mean, even Superman, he has like only the main good ones are 1 and 2. But then when they had to box it out, they're not gonna only do 1 and 2. They have to do 3 and 4. You can't just forget those ever existed. The only way to learn from your past is to not forget about it and
It's not
learn
that they're
from it.
forgetting about it. It's just that they don't want to ship it because they don't want to associate their brand with it.
Yeah, but that is your brand. If you have a blunder as big as Ghostbusters 2016, yes, you might not want to advertise that you made that movie, but if they are in a franchise with other movies that is based off of that are very popular, you can't just forget that it ever existed. It's like with the Justice League movie that came out in theaters, the Joss Whedon version. It's
Or the
like,
Christmas special of Star Wars.
yes, with that movie, there's no way to find it besides like YouTube videos of it.
He's very protective of his franchise.
Yeah, right. I'm not gonna get into that though. You can't hide the shit that you do in this day and age anymore. We're all gonna know about it.
But
And if
in the entertainment industry, the movies that you have under your belt or you give to the public or even let out into the public through the internet or something like that, those can affect your brand on whether or not people have faith in the kind of movies you make.
yes,
Like think about Illumination or DreamWorks. They're starting to do more franchises with all their show. They always do a show with the movies that come out. That's pretty much expected now, as we said before. Remember?
Illumination.
No, I was talking about DreamWorks.
Oh yeah, DreamWorks. Okay, I got lost when you said that. Go ahead.
Yeah, DreamWorks is now known to always follow up its movies with a series. Depending on it varies in quality, the writing anyway. The animation seems to be getting worse each year. And Illumination seems to be focusing more on its franchises like Despicable Me. Now, those things are all part of the entertainment industry where they're now being known for these things. They're trying to keep themselves afloat. And they've been doing this for so long that that's become part of their brand where you expect it from them.
That's the thing though. If you fall over, you don't just spawn back up. You gotta work your way back up on your feet.
They do. It's just not in the same way by keeping that thing going because they're not making any money off of it, of producing it. Making these things, once it goes into theaters and it doesn't do that well, they don't make more copies of it because that would cost money and time. So instead, they focus their efforts onto actual movies that are actually beloved by the public and people would actually buy.
We're getting too deep in this hole right now, and we need to find a way to get out of this because we
So
can
then
talk all day about this.
All right, so back to the fact that we were talking about the box set and how it came with 2016 one, right?
It didn't come with it, but until like the last minute, it said, "Here's a paper with a code for it, so you can watch it on your computer."
All right. So what else did you want to talk about?
Okay, so yeah, so Bill Murray was one holding back to make Ghostbusters 3.
Wait, he was or wasn't?
He was.
Oh, okay. Why did he not like doing the work, or?
I don't think that. I just think like he thought like we did our job, we're done. Sort of like what happened in the movie.
Oh, okay.
Because I also have another trivia about that. So the backstory on Egon's fallout with the rest of the Ghostbusters team actually parallels a lot of the fallout between Harold Ramis and Bill Murray during Groundhog Day, which is believed to have contributed to the languished development of the third installment to the film. Knowing that now, it kind of makes more sense. You know what I mean?
I didn't think so.
Did you know that in response to the film seeming to gloss over the elements of Ghostbusters 2, Jason Reitman, the director of this movie, said that the second movie is still canon and that it is possible to revisit Vigo in a potential sequel. Would you want that?
Wait, Vigo?
Yeah.
I do think because it felt like they had a lot of story or more stuff to go into it because Vigo is this whole new character that they created. And just for him to be a one-off villain feels kind of like a letdown.
I honestly can care less. I didn't think it was that much of a villain, like a interesting villain enough in the first movie to be anything bigger.
I know, that's what I mean by they could have done more with him. He wasn't really that interesting. They didn't delve into his history they just said like he was an evil guy and he's back to do more evil stuff. So it just felt like a one-note villain that they just didn't really do much with that they could have expended more on if they actually ever did make a sequel with him.
Okay, right. So there's an Easter egg in the movie. We already caught that there's like the tower of stacked books inside Egon's room.
Nobody stacks books like that.
And there's also a Toastmaster 2 slice toaster there.
I don't remember that.
It's in the kitchen.
A what?
A Toastmaster 2.
Toastmaster?
It's a Toastmaster 2 slice toaster
Um,
from the second movie. And that's all we have for trivia. You know what time it is now? Now you know
no.
what
What
time
time
it
is
is?
it?
Do you know what
No.
time it is?
No.
What time is it?
It's game time. I honestly don't know. I lost track of everything.
Wow, your roommate is really depressing. Thank you, Sergio. It's
How's it
time
depressing?
because you can't even find out how depressing this is. That's kind of depressing it alone. It's quiz time, Sergio. Get out your paper, get out your pencil, get out your cheat sheet, get out your water bottle with answers
That's
inside
it.
the wrappers.
That's it.
No.
So
There's more. There's more.
Chance, that's it. That's it. You don't need to say anything else.
No, I don't need to. I have to.
Have to what?
Get your hand with
You don't even know
work
what to
answers
say.
on it. No, I got this. Get your.
He's struggling, guys.
No, I'm not. Trust me. The way I'm editing this,
He's
you're gonna look like a
struggling so
fucking idiot.
He's struggling so much right now.
So I got 2 quizzes for you, Sergio. You get to choose. So
Why two?
because I like to go one step beyond, Sergio.
So we're gonna keep doing this every time?
Yes,
Why?
because it's fun
For who?
for the audience. They're loving it. Don't you hear that applause? Wait, wrong button. Hold on. Wrong button. Hold on. Yeah, see, they want more. You want more? Yeah. Yeah.
You sound really enthusiastic.
They are. See, I told you. Don't let our fans down, Sergio. So we have 2 quizzes for you. Either
Okay.
the Ghost of Ghostbusters quiz or the Ultimate Ghostbusters quiz. Since I couldn't find a Ghostbusters Afterlife quiz, we're going to go as a whole.
Let's do the Ultimate Ghostbusters quiz.
Okay. All right. Question 1. In the first movie, Peter, Ray, and Egon are all professors in which college? Harvard University, Yale University, Columbia University, or MIT?
I'm gonna say Columbia.
Correct. What is the name of Sigourney Weaver's baby in Ghostbusters 2? Jason, Lewis, Jack, or Oscar?
Oh, jeez.
You
I
wanted
don't know this too though.
You wanted this.
Technically, you wanted it.
Don't put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby.
What do you mean? You're the one who wanted to do these quizzes at the end of every episode.
No, don't worry about it. Go. Which one?
I'm gonna go with Oscar.
Correct. Who plays the mayor of New York in Ghostbusters Answer the Call? Andy Garcia, Charles Dance, Michael K. Williams, or Bill Murray?
Michael K. Williams?
You sure?
No, but it's the one I'm going with. I'm gonna stick to it.
Wrong. God, sir,
God.
you disappoint me every day of my life. It's Andy Garcia.
Andy Garcia.
Yes.
Hmm.
If there's something weird, ... What's the next line in this Ghostbusters song? Running through your head, sleeping in your bed, in your neighborhood, or and it don't look good?
In your neighborhood.
You sure?
Yes.
Because it could be all of these.
Oh, it's true. They all do that. So wait, actually, they do that in the song, in each line. But I'm gonna go with "In Your Neighborhood."
Nope. Nah, you're wrong, buddy. It don't look good. What is the name of Bill Murray's TV show in Ghostbusters 2? The Venkman Hour, World of the Sidekick, Weirdness Weekly, or Peace Occult?
World of the Sidekick, I think.
Yup. What is the name of Chris Hemsworth's character in Ghostbusters Answer the Call? Kevin Beckman, Rowan North, Ed Mulgrave, or Martin Heiss?
Kevin Beckman.
Correct. In the first movie, once he's possessed, Louis Tully introduces himself as Zool, the Keymaster, the Gatekeeper, or Gozer.
Keymaster.
Correct. During the court scene in Ghostbusters 2, what does the judge accidentally summon with his anger? The Scoleri brothers, Slimer, Janusz, or Vigo the Carpathian?
The Scoleri brothers.
Scoleri.
Scoleri.
Yes. Correct. What was the name of Melissa McCarthy's character in Ghostbusters Answer the Call? Patricia Tolan, Abigail Yates, Aaron Gilbert or Jillian Holtzman?
Abigail Yates.
Correct. And for a final question, where did the Ghostbusters capture the first ghost? Dana Barrett's apartment, the Sedgwick Hotel, the New York Public Library, or the firehouse?
Wait, capture their first ghost?
Yes.
Okay, the Sedgwick Hotel.
Good job, man. You got 8 out of 10 right. That's a passing grade. Let's just get our ratings out, man.
I'll give this a 5 out of 5.
Really?
Yeah, it was a really enjoyable movie, and this was our second time rewatching it, but I enjoyed it thoroughly. There was nothing I could say bad about this.
Wow, I think this might be the first time where I might be lower than you on a movie I love. I gave it a 4.5 out of 5. Oh my god.
Why do you give it a 4 out of 5?
I gave it 4.5 out of 5 because I love everything in it. I just thought that
There would be more?
no, not more, but more like Ghostbusting in it instead of nods and references, more actual doing of like doing new things with the Ghostbusters thing, like tech. Like I said with the Ghostbusters 2016 review, I love that they're embracing the new tech part of it, but I did not like how they were bringing back references to the original movie all the time.
I think that's something we actually talked about during the movie. Egon is supposed to be this genius, but his equipment is kind of outdated. His house doesn't even have any power, and his trap didn't work at first. They had to get a proton pack and shoot at the power supply to make it work,
Yes, what's
which
the
meant
point?
that he had the equipment to make the power go, but when he actually tried it didn't turn on because the power from his house was not there.
What's your point?
How come he didn't think to take one of the proton packs, turn it into a battery because it's basically a nuclear reactor, as he said, and make it so that the trap could fire without having to rely the power on his house, which he knew that he hadn't paid.
I think because busting makes him feel good. I don't know, man. Why do you ask? I don't know.
Yeah, that's the kind of things that I questioned throughout the film. All these little details that seem to contradict these characters. Egon, he didn't really care how people saw him. He could be a jerk sometimes, but I don't think that he would go to the extent of which an entire town would hate him. I think the only part that actually showed how smart he was when he built the trap with the proton beams to keep the ghosts from coming out of the mountain.
I kind of like the idea of him being a jerk because whenever they make a movie with someone that passed away a long time ago, they always make it seem like they're a god or they're amazing. They even might be, but
Can you give an example?
Okay, I can't really find anyone right now, but what I mean by that is like, even if I can't find an example, I'm trying to say that it's kind of refreshing in a way. I don't know how to put this, but like, it feels refreshing knowing that like, even after they pass away, they're not going to make him like he's a good guy because it's not part of the movie. Like, we find out later he was still a good person. He just had his priorities in focus.
His priorities were elsewhere.
Yeah, his priorities were elsewhere and didn't know how to work both of them up, like multitask with them.
No, it's not that he had to multitask. It's just that he couldn't give his family the attention they needed while also being vigilant on the horizon of the impending doom that was coming.
Yes, and so it caught me off guard seeing that them saying, "Oh yeah, this guy he just comes in, buys supplies, and goes back to his dirt farm. He doesn't buy anything. He's just a dirt farmer. Look at him, building that dirt."
Well, yeah, but that's what I didn't get about this town. They seemed closely knit, or at least to the surface. Well, actually, they don't really care about anything on the surface. So it kind of threw me through a loop, saying how all these people came to have this negative connotation of Egon. Didn't really make sense.
And so he can have him have a reason for him to do all these things later in the movie, to where his family can love him again.
No, his family I get, but he kept to himself mostly. So I don't get how all these people in this town where he's living currently would have all this.
It's because they're all friendly, Sergio. So one person that's like trying to be quiet and just couldn't get his stuff done, people are like, look at him, thinking he's better than us, not talking to us. Who does he think he is? That's small town stuff, Sergio.
Okay.
It's like going to a family get together and not saying hi or greeting everyone there. And on that note, I think we should call this one episode. Or do you have any final remarks, Sergio?
No, I believe I said all I wanted to say. I think we're all good.
And I'm good here. I'm good on my end too. I'm Chance.
I'm Sergio.
Have a cinematic day. Hey everyone, thanks for listening. And be sure to subscribe to our channel and follow us on Instagram, Facebook, X, and TikTok at Brick Wall Cinema. Have a cinematic day. Hello, I'm Sergio. What the
Hi, Sergio. How you been?
Yeah, Sergio, it's been a while, huh?
Yeah?
Yeah.
Let's do this again.
Then I'm Chance.
No.
And I'm Lila.
Hello, I'm Chance.
And I'm Sergio.
I'm Lolo.
And this is Brick Wall Cinema.
Ghostbusters, what do you want?
He slimed me.
We're ready to believe you.
Back off, man. I'm a scientist.
That's a big one.
We came, we saw, we kicked its ass. Dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria. Enough, I get the point.
Sorry for the delay, but we're back again. Sergio had to go out of country. I was stuck home sick and couldn't even talk. I started breathing. I started hyperventilating. I couldn't. No, actually, I could think of a better excuse. Hold on.
You were out of the country?
You could just say I'm busy. They know that I have school.
No, we need a good reason why we were gone. So I was gone because I had.
You were offered a job.
No, actually, no, that's not it. I went over to Louisiana to go to the French Quarter and have some fun. And I saw.
You could just say you're out of the state.
No, I am. Let me finish, Sergio. So I went out of country.
That's not the country. You're still in the same country.
No, I went out of the country after I went to Louisiana. I went out of the country after leaving Louisiana. Then I went to go to Barbados.
Where's Barbados?
In Jamaica.
Jamaica?
Yeah.
Didn't you say this a while ago?
I didn't say this at all.
Wait, why did you go to Jamaica then?
Yeah, and you didn't invite us? Frankly, I'm offended. Aren't you, Sergio?
Oh, yeah.
Well, you don't understand because I was sent there because my family was over there and I had to take care of their fire tower while they were gone.
What
How
fire
dare
tower?
you, Chance? We're not friends. We're
We had a
family.
firehouse there where it stopped ghosts from coming out.
Why are you saying this in
my
Jamaica when
freaking
they do it in
goodness.
New York?
Sergio's a lead-in because what they did is they left their town to live in New York in the firehouse. God, you don't.
I just find it funny that you had to explain that to Sergio.
It's the same country. Why did you go out of the country?
You're in the same country. Anyway, what were you gone, Sergio? What was your excuse for not being here?
I had a huge exam that was due.
For the past few weeks?
Yes, it's almost the end of the semester. I have several tests I have to do. And also I have to sign up for classes for next semester.
Okay, that's a pretty good excuse. And I
Yeah.
hear a random voice here. Who's that on my phone? Who's that on the Zoom call? Who's that?
It's Slimer. He invaded. He's in the computers, man.
Why does Slimer sound feminine and laughing?
Because you know how Slimer is. You're always making weird stuff.
Ew, what do you mean by that?
Well, duh, he burps. He always makes a like those kind of sounds.
Wait, what kind of voice does it make?
Like,
Well, at least I didn't have relations with slime.
Oh.
Oh, you watched the video.
Of course.
You must have watched our video on TikTok, which is available now on Brick Wall Cinema.
It's been a while. It's been there for a while.
Well, yeah, but I'm also easy to get into the conversation and let people know we have a TikTok and also a YouTube video channel for our commentaries and our highlights on TikTok.
Don't
YouTube
you
Shorts.
say that at the end of the video?
I'm saying it now because we're talking about it.
Okay, then.
God.
It just
I
seems
can't
like
wait
redundant
for
because we
when you
already
guys
said
get
that at the end of the
sponsored. Chance is going to do a shameless plug and that's why we've been using Coke Zero. I can see it now.
video.
Coke Zero. Oh, I don't want to drink Coke Zero.
You drink Coke.
Yeah, but it's
Yeah.
not zero. It's
drink
different.
cherry.
Well, it doesn't have to be
It
zero.
tastes
I'm just
different.
saying, like for sponsorships, it was an example.
Oh, I could easily do sponsorships.
But me personally, I prefer Dr. Pepper. But
I like Fanta.
ooh, Fanta's good.
Also, I heard Fanta is like the number one popular drink in India. I heard that. Anyways, back to the movie. We're doing Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
The newest Ghostbusters movie came out on March 22nd, 2024. Rated PG-13, directed by Gil Kenan, the writer of the writer of Ghostbusters.
The son of the original director of the original trilogy, right?
No,
Oh, wait.
dumbass. Let me finish talking because you interrupted me by laughing.
All right, so he was the son of the original.
No,
from the first
you're
two
talking to the
movies,
wrong person. You let me finish. He still finished talking for me.
This is gonna be a long video.
Directed by Gil Kenan, the writer of Ghostbusters Afterlife. He came back to direct this one, and I think he also had a part in making Monster House, if I was not mistaken. He produced this movie with Jason Reitman and Jason Blumfield. He also wrote this movie with Jason Reitman, who was the son of the original director of the first two movies. That's who you got confused with, Sergio.
Oh, okay. So what do we want to talk about the first?
I'm not done with the basic info, buddy.
I'm sorry, dude, but we're trying to make this quick, remember?
I know, but you're interrupting me, so we should make it longer.
All right, then what do we talk about first?
I'm not
So
done
much of
yet.
this is gonna get cut out.
Runtime, hour and 50 minutes, hour and 55 minutes. Budget, $100 million. There, now we can talk about it. With the Rotten Tomatoes score, it has a 43% of Rotten Tomatoes from critics and 84% for audiences.
Wow.
Yeah, pretty big difference. So let's start with the synopsis. After the events of Afterlife, Gary, Kaylee, Trevor, and Phoebe have moved into New York Firehouse and become the official Ghostbusters team, while Winston has opened the Paranormal Research Center to study the ghosts that they bust, and Ray is using his bookstore as a hub for collecting occult texts and finding haunted objects. When one such object turns out to be the ancient cage for an incredibly powerful malevolent spirit, it will take both generations of Ghostbusters to prevent New York from being overrun by armies of ghosts and plunge into a new ice age. Will they succeed? Is a ghost transparent?
Yes.
What?
That was a joke. God.
It's okay. I got the joke.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
All right, so
No.
what do we want to talk about first?
Let's give our impression of the movie first of all. And then we'll get into spoilers after we're done talking about how we thought about the movie.
All right.
I thought this is a really fun movie. I enjoyed all of it. There are some things I might have liked more than others. Some things I noticed that they clearly cut out that were supposed to be expanded on. You can definitely tell. And the idea, and also the biggest thing about this whole movie is the cast, because there's so many people in this movie that are Ghostbusters, or not even just Ghostbusters, just people are so many main characters. It's hard to focus on. It's hard to focus on a certain amount of people at a certain time, like giving equal amounts of story time.
You mean screen time?
Screen time, yes.
Yes, I feel the same way. There was a lot of stuff they felt like they could have went with, and then there was this sort of pushing it back to the sidelines, whereas we focus mostly on certain characters going through certain arcs.
Right. And we're not going to get into spoilers yet because there are still people that haven't seen it yet, but we'll get into spoilers after we're done with our main discussion about it. I don't know how to do this without spoilers, honestly. Me thinking about it, but
should we just go into spoilers then?
Well, yeah, let's just give our ratings, because this is gonna be a short review for everyone. So just to be easy for everyone that, I don't know, we're trying something new, cut some slack for new movies. We only get to see them once usually because Sergio has to pay for it, but I have A-list. So with these new recent movies coming out, we're just gonna have to do it one at a time, like do like these short reviews, which makes it easier for us to edit and release sooner, and for the audience to know which one to watch first.
All right. So what do we want to talk about first?
So let's go with the ratings.
All right. So out of 5, right?
Yeah.
My thoughts was, I didn't get what I expected out of this as much, although it was a very enjoyable movie. So I'll give it a 4 out of 5.
Wow, we're riding the money here. I got exactly 4 out of 5 too. Yeah, it doesn't hit all the right marks, but it does hit the good nostalgic parts of it. It has all the people come back, has all the Easter eggs you want, has all the story parts you want. It has a cool villain. It has a cool setting. It has great effects, and it's just a fun Ghostbusters movie. It's not as melancholy as the last one was.
It expands the sort of like the whole spectrum of what ghosts are in this universe. All right. So what are we
And
getting to right now?
now we're getting into the spoilers. So spoilers, anyone? And spoilers.
Spoiler alert.
Spoilers. Lola,
Yeah.
spoilers.
Yeah.
Okay, so you just talked about the ghost part of it, and you say like how they have different types of ghosts in this. I'm guessing you're talking about the female, like the girl ghost that talks to Phoebe.
No, I was talking about how in the research center they had different ghosts in there.
Oh,
There were certain kinds like processors. There was those ones that hide in the dark. It seemed interesting that they categorized them in different categories and different types.
well, they always did
But
that.
yeah, wait, what?
They always did that.
In which and how?
All of them. It's like that's a class 4 vapor, or that's a class
No,
3.
that's a class like how powerful they are. But this is different categories. The possessors are the ones that do the possessing, whereas the other ones were like in the dark. Other ones were sliming. They did different things. They weren't all the same. And yes, they varied in power, but that I'm talking about what it is they did specifically.
Okay, so
One thing I did find odd about this movie was that the main villain was supposed to be this hyped up as this one to end them all, like the big bad. But as he freezes the entire city, it was kind of underwhelming that the whole fight just happened in this one place in the firehouse. It felt like such a small confined space to keep the final fight, and it just kind of felt underwhelming.
that was my thought on it too. I thought like it's clear now than more than any other movie that they didn't shoot as much on the actual location. They shot clearly on a soundstage.
Yeah.
And it's more prevalent here than any other movie. Because like a lot of the whole movie practically takes place in the firehouse. Except like shots in the library and stuff like that. In the bookstore.
Also, I wonder how they would categorize spirit like ghosts that are like the girl that Phoebe hung around and her grandfather's spirit, because they seemed like sort of spirits that did not leave because of unfinished business. So what would that be categorized as?
I'm not sure, but I think that in that film they did try to tease. Do you know that they were trying to tease like a love thing between her and Phoebe?
Yeah, and at first we thought that in the first movie they were going to do it between Podcast and Phoebe.
Yeah, because they still tease it in this one too, like him getting so excited seeing her is like, "Hey Phoebe, hi."
Yeah, I thought it was more of them just not seeing each other because they are always busy now. But now that Phoebe is no longer part of the team anymore because of the fact that she's restricted from it because she's underage. But it did seem like they were going to go for something in that direction, but then they kind of dropped it. As we said before, it seemed like they were going to do different stuff than what they actually did, and they rolled with it. It worked out okay. It worked out pretty good, but it felt like a lot of stuff was dropped.
That's what I feel like a lot with this movie. Like they had all these different ideas and plans for this movie, and they thought, let's just focus on one. Or, hear me out, we do all of them. All of them. All of them.
I feel like it would have ended up like the second movie, the original second movie of the Ghostbusters.
Yeah, but the only thing is we're not going to get into any deleted scenes for this one.
True.
Because even they did the thing where Harold Ramis tried to catch ghosts and catch Slimer in the firehouse. They did the exact same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Except with fried chicken in the sequel, they had in this one Cheetos. They really just put Finn Wolfhard under the bus for this movie. They just made him do nothing besides that. Just for a little payoff of him eating the possessor.
Also, I'm confused. The ghost god, I forgot his name already. The one with the horns, the ice powers.
Horny guy. Horny guy.
The horn guy, okay.
The horny ghost.
So he was able to control Phoebe's ghost because she temporarily became a ghost. How was it that he was able to control her body then?
Oh. Bustin' makes
that
feel good.
That didn't make sense after the fact we watched it, because his whole shtick is that he can control ghosts. It would have made more sense if he could control the possessor and then possessed Phoebe's body as she was outside her body for a little bit and made her open the thing.
You're right on catching that, actually. I didn't think about that.
Yeah. I don't know. A lot of things didn't make sense, mostly because of the fact that they needed drama with Phoebe, I guess. of her trying to prove that she's old enough to do her own decisions, but realize that she's still very young and naive.
Yeah, because even though she's still a kid, she might be really smart, but she still has the mentality of a kid. She's still a kid.
Do you get what we mean, Lola?
Totally.
Yeah. Also, I was hoping that they would dive more into the story of the ghost girl that hangs around Phoebe, of how it is she became like that.
They did. They said that she burned down her family's business.
No, they said that she implied it when she said that she burned down the business. And then they did like a show don't tell thing of her being at the diner that has her last name.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they didn't really outright say it or even delve into it. They just showed like a few scenes of it. They had her talk about a little bit vaguely about her past, but that was about it.
One thing I did notice was the library ghost selves in the movie that scared Ray again. So I'm thinking about it now. They never captured that ghost in that first movie.
Oh, yeah.
They just left.
You think that was kind of like an Easter egg saying how they never caught that ghost?
Probably, I guess. I just think it's funny that they never actually caught him and just ran. And also think about it now, that whole scene of him saying, I got an idea, right? And Ray's like, get her! And they run away from it. I realize now that later in the movie when they're about to see Gozer and they say, well, someone has to go up there. And he's like, you're right. Go get her, Ray. Do you think that's a reference to that?
Yeah. Peter keeps telling Ray to go get it.
But yeah, this was a fun movie. I just want and just ended right there by saying it's a fun movie with a lot of things that they tried pitching at us, but didn't really catch. But the thing that they did stick with, like the effects, the story, the characters, and the justice for Winston that we needed since the fucking first movie.
What did Winston do besides actually bring back the business?
God.
Well, he did create the facility that they used to study the ghosts.
That's a big thing, Sergio. He's rich now.
Yeah, that is pretty necessary.
Yeah,
but it's more of the background kind of stuff. I'm wondering if he did actively do anything within the film, like actually doing something instead of being behind the scenes creating all the stuff that they use. I suppose that he was just mostly meant to be like the rich millionaire that they fall back to whenever they need to get something done, I suppose. It was great to see him. It was great to see him shine, though.
Yeah, this is the biggest role he's ever had in this franchise, I think, in my opinion. Because the other movies, he might have some iconic lines, but this part, he actually has a big part of the story.
You were saying, Lola? I think she disappeared, man.
No, I genuinely didn't hear you. What did you say? I genuinely didn't hear you.
Sergio got scared.
I was so confused. I'm like, what did he say?
We were talking about how Winston got more time to shine in this movie, and compared to all the other movies.
She didn't see the movie, Sergio.
Wait, you haven't shown?
Well, I know some things. Yeah, Chance didn't want to see the movie with me for some reason.
No, Lola, you haven't seen Afterlife yet. We were almost done with Afterlife.
I did. I just watched.
You just finished
there.
it?
You were literally there. And then after you left, I finished it.
Oh, wait, you didn't tell me you finished it.
You told me to finish watching it. You literally told me to finish watching it.
And guess what, everyone? You get a quick review of Ghostbusters Afterlife from Lola. What do you think about Ghostbusters Afterlife?
It was awesome. I did really like it.
What do you think of the ending?
It was all right. I don't really have much to say. Like, I'm not a ginormous Ghostbusters fan, but I enjoyed the movie. It was good. Okay, it's not as if I hate the movie. There are things I care more about. No offense to Ghostbusters. Awesome franchise. I grew up with it as a kid. But I don't have much more to say. It was good. I enjoyed it. It was a fun, action-packed filled adventure. It was nice.
All right. So is that all we have to say about this movie, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so. Well, all right then. See you guys in the next one. Have a cinematic day. And this marks the end of Ghostbusters month, or just Ghostbusters for us, because we missed a couple of weeks.
This is the end of our reviews.
No, be more specific, Sergio, because you got to freak everyone out.
End of the reviews.
This is the end of our reviews for Ghostbusters, because that's what this whole thing was.
Yeah, are you away from the camera now, microphone now, Sergio? Because like you're distancing from us.
He's disciplining his cat.
I've been down for a long time. All
right, then. So have a cinematic day, everyone. Thank you, Lola, for being a guest on the pod, and thank you, Sergio. I'm Chance. Wait, hold on.
Perfect ending right there.
Flawless.
I'm Chance.
I'm Sergio.
I'm Lola.
Have a cinematic day. Hey everyone, thanks for listening. And be sure to subscribe to our channel and follow us on Instagram, Facebook, X, and TikTok at Brick Wall Cinema. Have a cinematic day.